that was going to be a lot better than it was. Clearly, it was just a vlog about him moving to Miami. Luckily for you, I'm always prepared. And I got your boy Andrew Tate on deck. So let's see. So this is a 5-hour podcast. So of course, we're not going to be able to do the whole thing tonight. But because you are here, you get to see the beginning. Let's do it.
Of the world, thinking for themselves. That's pretty scary to avoid.
Or the biggest mistakes any man or woman can make.
To chop my head off and try and delete me is asinine in itself. You know what they have to do the game away. Here's your piece of paper. Do we cancel again, Logan?
You're saying the call like that was me?
100%. The dude's a bitch.
A lady of yours that you introduced to us yesterday said, "This is my wife." I don't even know if I'm convinced he was going to have 5 wives.
And that's a very astute observation. You are correct. And I won't believe it. I don't want to believe in things that make me weak.
Some of the most famous man on the internet, and then all of a sudden gone from the internet.
So today's sit-down is a sit-down many of you have been asking about for a while, and we finally pulled it off. There's been no conversations of what we can't talk about. He said nothing's off limits. We're talking everything and anything. However he chooses to answer, obviously it's going to be on him. Today's guest is Andrew Tate. Many will call him possibly the most popular man on social media the last 6 months. Nearly 20 billion views on all social media. The most searched man on social. We were looking at the list. We put up Biden, we put up Trump, we put up Putin, we put up everybody. And he was up there. Some periods he was above everybody else. And recently he got banned in late August. I think the 3rd or 4th week of August, he got banned late August. And at that time, from June to July, his Instagram account was growing at 100,000 followers, new followers on a daily basis, on track to get to 10, 20, 40, 50 million followers on Instagram. Suddenly like this, he gets banned. Everybody's wondering what happened. Some had positive thoughts about it. Some didn't have positive thoughts about it. We'll get into that as well. But Tate, appreciate you for making the time in. It's good to be spending these few hours with you.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
So let's get right into it. So this
all right. So guys, switching up a little bit, switching gears a little bit. We went into the Sneeko stuff. I thought that was going to be a little bit more fruitful than it was. Clearly it wasn't. So here we go. Diving into this. I don't know how far we're going to make it. I want to hear from you guys. So I'm going to drop the link at a certain point. So I'm thinking we're going to go about an hour and a half, and then we'll do the rest on Friday. But we'll see how it goes.
And we've had a lot of different people in the past get banned. I'll read some of the people and why they got banned.
Sure.
And I think the first question we want to get into is what everybody wants to know. No one still knows. Everything is pure speculation. Trump got banned on all social because of the insurrection.
Yeah.
Alex Jones promoting and inciting violence, whether it's Sandy Hook, whether it's Pizzagate. Eventually, they just said, we got to kind of cut this off.
Yeah.
Milo Yiannopoulos got banned in 2016 from Twitter for inciting harassment of SNL and Ghostbusters star Leslie Jones. Louis Farrakhan was banned for anti-Semitism comments spreading hate. Yeah. Rob Kardashian was banned in 2017 for a revenge porn picture of his ex-girlfriend, K. Blac Chyna. Kanye West was banned temporarily for repeated posts that threatened both Kim and Pete Davidson. Yeah. Rihanna got banned because they...
Who's here? Type a 1 if you're here. It says there's one person here, but I kind of feel like there's not.
Inciting horniness, believe it or not. That's what it was called.
What?
And for posting a topless photo of herself. Then she later on came back on. Rose McGowan got banned in 2017 off Twitter for calling out Ben Affleck for his business relationship with Harvey Weinstein, and that lasted 12 hours. Chelsea Handler in 2014 for posting a nude picture. Many were upset when she did that, but she did post it. Marjorie Taylor Greene got banned in 2022 for repeated tweets in which she shared false and dangerous info about COVID-19.
Oh, false and dangerous.
That's what they called it.
Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, that's very interesting.
And then PewDiePie was banned from Twitter for making a joke about ISIS. Okay. So why did Andrew Tate get banned?
They did not tell me. They did not send me an email, no correspondence. I certainly didn't break terms of service. I guess that's why they couldn't send me an email and explain why. Nobody told me, whether it was YouTube that banned me or Meta that banned me. They banned me instantly and forever without any kind of correspondence. They've not told me why. They've not told anyone what I did. The media machine, in synchronization with the ban, we can call that coincidence if you want to believe in such things, came out with some kind of bullshit explanation that I'm misogynistic or some garbage. But the actual social media companies themselves provided no explanation at all, no correspondence at all. They just deleted me. That was it.
Now, are you doing anything about it? Are you having your legal team trying to find out why they did that, or you're not taking any action right now?
I do have a lot of things happening behind the scenes. However, and perhaps I'm becoming optimistic in my old age, but I believe that in due course, the social media companies will realize the mistake they made. I think that, and like I said, I don't have intimate knowledge of the workings of social media companies, but assuming they are semi-professional in any regard, and that is the biggest option. But let's assume they're professional. That means that when they ban somebody like me, especially the most Google search person on the planet,
They're professional. They're just they're professional at the level. When you get to that level, professional means cutthroat.
they must have teams which are analyzing in real time the response to said action, right?
Mhm.
They should have people sitting there on the ground analyzing. Now they attacked me with their media machine because first they shut you up so they can lie about you. So they shut me up. Then they did the massive media push to try and attempt to lie about me. But despite that, the majority of comments regarding me are still positive. The majority of people believe and understand that this ban is unfair. And if these companies have any degree of professionalism, they're analyzing this in real time and they're understanding that this makes us look very bad. People didn't believe the lie. People didn't believe what we attempted to smear this man with. Nobody's buying this narrative. And this is going to have a negative effect on us for a very, very long time. Because when you're in charge of the world, which they are, as soon as you're no longer seen as just and fair, you're seen as tyrannical. And once you're seen as tyrannical, then there's going to be some kind of mass movement against you. So if I was a social media executive, I would sit and I would analyze the data and I would say, listen, guys, we will have a monopoly. We want to retain our monopoly. Let's be smart here. Being known as tyrannical amongst the public consciousness across the entire planet is going to make it very difficult for us to hold our monopoly for a longer period of time, as opposed to being seen to be fair. Even if we're biased, we must be seen as fair.
Sure.
As soon as we're seen as tyrannical, that's when the revolution. Look at Ceausescu. As soon as you're a tyrant, that's when everyone hits the streets.
Yeah.
So I think that if they have any kind of serious data monitoring and if they have any kind of serious business professionalism, they are now talking in dark rooms, understanding that this has played out very badly for them. And if they intend on keeping their monopoly into the future, that they need to change something. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but we will
Who
see.
was the first one to take you off?
Meta?
Meta was first. So
Meta.
Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook Instagram.
Okay.
I
And
was-
then it was a domino effect.
Yeah, so Meta took me down. So it's quite interesting, actually. I had a YouTube channel for a while. It was never so large. I had 738,000 subscribers. It took me a long time to build it up. I got a strike on YouTube, which prevented me from posting. Got a strike, no big deal. The next day, Meta took me down, deleted my Facebook and my Instagram. The press came out at exactly the same time in sync, saying that I'm a misogynistic, dangerous person, that I'm harmful, that I am the reason that the world is not a perfect place, world hunger, you name it, all my fault. Attacked me across all of this. And I thought, okay, let me film a message that I can get out on my YouTube, my final message, which I don't know if you guys have seen. I ended up putting on freetalkg.com. Let me film my final message explaining how this is unfair and unjust. We filmed it, we produced it, we got it all edited within 12 hours, had to feel ready to go, but we couldn't post it because of the YouTube strike. So we're waiting for the YouTube strike to expire. A few hours before the YouTube strike expires, guess what happens? They banned me from YouTube. Then they banned me from Discord. Then they banned me from Airbnb. They banned me from Stripe. I can't even remember. It was just emails coming in faster than you could believe. Ban.
So
The
it wasn't just the social.
no, the Matrix presses a button, my friend. And every app on your phone stops working. Uber. You name it. Uber.
Stop.
You name it.
Wait, you can't use Uber?
Well, I can use Uber. You just start a new account, right? But
Yeah.
oh, sorry, Uber. But
But
yeah,
your main account on Uber was taken.
they take everything.
Everything. Coordinated effort all at once.
Coordinated effort all at once. Every single one of them just goes, no. Delete.
Now, I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's very clear to me. It's very clear to me that I don't remember the co-host name, but PBD and his co-host are very aware that this is what happens when somebody gets banned. They just get blacklisted and it goes down the list. What they're doing is asking him these things in this way so that he can get out the the strength of message that the banks it's not just that you can't use Twitter. It's boom, 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 boom. Your entire livelihood, your entire participation in society is just nuked.
And they come at you with everything.
And Stripe.
Banks.
Payment processing.
Oh, and banks. UK-based banks as well. High Street, banks. But I can name Santander, HSBC, Barclays, etc. all at the same
Massive
time.
banks.
No, sorry, to change. We've decided because blah, blah, some bullshit, some letter, close your accounts. So they take all your banking, they take your payment processing, they take all your social media presence, they take your Discord, they take your Skype, they take all your accounts, your ability to communicate with people, and then they lie about you in the press. And they leave you there. They leave you there to suffer. They attempt to
You can
argue.
understand the social component. All right, these guys are probably all working in unison.
Yeah.
But when you hear payment processors, banks, apps like Uber, how are you processing that?
No, I mean, that's why he has to do something about it. Because, for me, there's plenty of great lawyers. Did you hear about what happened with Alex Brenison lately?
Alex
Did you follow-
Berenson?
Alex. Is
Yeah,
it Alex?
Berenson. The writer?
Alex Berenson, I think he's
I heard he sued Twitter or something. I don't
He
know.
sued Twitter.
Are you guys familiar with this? I haven't heard of this.
Did you follow the story?
I don't know the exact story now.
So he was on Joe Rogan. If you've not seen it, I highly recommend you watch this. So he is saying things about Twitter. Matter of fact, the tweet that got him in trouble, got him his 5th strike, was the following tweet. We can put this up there because I'm just reading what he said. This is a tweet he put out that he said, "It doesn't stop infection or transmission. Don't think of it as a vaccine. Think of it as, at best, a therapeutic with a limited window of efficacy and terrible side effect profile that must be dosed in advance of illness, and we want to mandate it. Insanity. That's a tweet. So he gets banned.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
In December of last year, which was 6 months after when Biden said anybody who allows debate of vaccine should be banned or shouldn't be allowed, meaning there shouldn't be any of that. So 6 months after that, he gets banned. In April, a judge in California is, believe it or not, a very big freedom of speech place because they allow protesting. A judge that was appointed by Bill Clinton comes in and says, I'm allowing this to go through because typically Section 230 that is in place in 1998 was to protect social media sites and many of these online sites that if you offend your ex-wife or if you offend your brother, it has nothing to do with Facebook. So they kind of protected themselves. But Alex was able to go all the way because of this court judge that was appointed by Clinton, not Obama or Trump, but by Clinton. He goes in. Eventually, he says you get to have two people from Twitter to come to court to defend themselves. So he could have gone to Jack Dorsey. Long story short, they finally lifted it. He is on Twitter and he's posting heavily, talking about the fact the reason why he got banned is because the government didn't want him on inciting what he was inciting. So the moral of the story is when you say something like that, for someone like you seem like you're a methodical guy. You're a chess guy. Your dad's a chess person. 5-time United Armed Force champion, 5 times, 6 times Indiana State. You were playing at 5 years old against 16-year-olds. You don't play chess without being strategic, thinking about your next few moves.
Correct.
So if you don't do anything and bring lawyers in to the market, I've interviewed a lot of people who are in the mob. To the market, it sounds like they're right.
Absolutely.
But if you do and you defend yourself, you're not only doing it for yourself, but you're also doing it for others who maybe don't have your kind of resources to say, correct, hey, this guy's willing to stand up. He kind of helped change the law for me.
Correct.
Because the one case, it was the Sikhs against Facebook. That's the case that helped them out. India years ago didn't like this Facebook group that had Sikhs. It was a Sikh Facebook page. So India told Facebook to take them off. Facebook took them off. Then Sikhs sued Facebook. That became the precedence.
Nice.
So somebody like you can potentially set a new one against Section 230.
Absolutely. I certainly have legal options being explored. And I don't want to say too much on the podcast, but legal options are certainly being explored. We'll see how things progress across the next few weeks. But I have a very strong suspicion I will end up back on the media platforms, or they will offer them back to me. The question now at this point is if I even look on it, which is a unique question because a lot of people still believe that
I don't even want to be on your stupid Twitter.
You can only have a significant presence in the world with these social media platforms. That's the source of their power. I believe there's huge pressure behind the dam in regards to the fact that everybody understands that these places are tyrannical and that they control ideas.
What are you on ketamine?
And that they force narratives. And I use my wording as the Matrix. I call them the Matrix. And people say to me, why do you call them the Matrix? And I say, because they project a false version of reality in real time that people subscribe to. If there wasn't an absolute blacklist on all opposing views during COVID-19, that bullshit would never have gone on for as long as it did. It went on for as long as it did, and they managed to purport a false version of reality for so long because you couldn't discuss the opposing side. We just talked about our friend here who got banned for saying something very sensible and logical. So when you get huge media companies that can literally alter reality in real time by deleting the other side of an argument, they're creating a matrix. That's what I like to call it. So I call them the source of the matrix. So people understand this, and there's huge pressure behind the dam. But the problem is people say, well, what's the alternative? And I think if someone could pave the way and put a crack in the dam by maintaining massive relevancy despite of a ban and still having a social media platform and presence which is respected on other platforms, I think it's going to do them significant damage. I think the pressure and the crack together is going to create something monumental. And already I've moved to Rumble. I only had 738,000 subscribers on my YouTube after 5 years of work. Post-ban, I moved to Rumble, which is a YouTube competitor. Stock price has gone up 36%, and I'm at 500,000 subscribers in 2 weeks. So I'm about to surpass the size of my YouTube channel within a month. YouTube stock's down, Rumble stock's
I don't even post the link to my my Rumble videos anymore. I feel like Rumble is not a good platform for new channels. I mean, if you're already somebody, then yeah, it's great. But I mean, does anybody here use Rumble with any regularity?
massively up. So all in all, there's other avenues, but we'll see. I certainly agree with you that what they've done to me is massively unfair. They know it's unfair. I think the reason they didn't send me an email or any confirmation of what I did wrong is because they knew they were going to end up in court, and they didn't want to be tied down to their reason. They want to stay fluid and try to make up a reason on the day. Yeah. I've heard from very reliable sources that their terms of service have changed significantly post my ban. They've made up new reasons. Post ban, they've made up a bunch of new shit. So it's going to be interesting. But certainly, yeah, there has to be legal ramifications for what they've done. I don't take it personally, but I do take it professionally. And you're right, they were wrong. I have no reason to be banned. My Instagram is just cars. It's just cars and a little bit of flexing. There's no politics. There's not even any points of view. I had no strikes. Nothing. It's just a hit piece. So
if they were betting odds, like if we did a poll, why do you think Andrew Tate was banned from all the social media platforms? And it was misogyny, right? COVID stuff, against the government, against system. If you were a betting man, where would you kind of place the odds?
Oh, I already know. Everybody already knows I was banned because I talked against the system, against the Matrix.
Just the system in general.
The system in general, yeah. I mean, someone compared me to...
Now, 5 years ago, if you said, oh, they banned my accounts because I'm just talking against the establishment, everybody would look at you and be like, okay, here's your tinfoil hat. Yet here we are. Where it's, maybe there's something more specific, but also it completely makes sense that they just flip the switch because they don't like him. We've done it before. They're going to do it again.
Socrates, which is a compliment, but he was vilified. He ended up poisoning himself in Athens. And the charge against him was corrupting the youth. If you read about his poisoning and his arrest, they said he was corrupting the youth, but he wasn't corrupting them. He was inspiring them to challenge authority. He was inspiring them to think for themselves. When they were told something, instead of blindly complying, hey, look, analyze who these people are who are telling you to do X. And I even had a tweet I put out on my... I've been banned on Twitter forever, so I've been through 20 Twitter bans. I come back as undercover, whatever. But I've been saying I said, if you have a point of view that you are very strong in your adherence to, if you truly believe something, you need to sit and analyze whether it's your own personal experience that makes you believe something, or if someone else or something else has convinced you of this.
That is a very important point. That is a very important point and very poignant, because he's not talking about religion. He's not talking about politics. He's just talking about whatever it is that you believe in. And how often do we talk about how religion is so this, that? But then you have all these atheists. I mean, as an atheist myself, I can clearly see the problem is the fact that these atheists have thrown religion out and have not questioned their value system. Let's listen to that again. That was very, that was on point.
As undercover, whatever. But I've been saying I said, if you have a point of view that you are very strong in your adherence to, if you
have a point of view that you are strongly adhered to,
believe something, you need to sit and analyze whether it's your own personal experience that makes you believe something, or if someone else or something else has convinced you of this. And if they have,
does it come from you or did somebody else convince you? And that's okay if somebody else convinced you. But if somebody else convinced you, did they convince you for a good reason? If not, then stop believing whatever it is that they told you. That doesn't mean you have to believe the opposite. It just means that you just go back to the neutral.
You need to then once again...
Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
Analyze that point of view and analyze who these people are and what they want from you. Do they truly want the best of you? If the news convinces you of something to the point where you're going to argue with your own family members at a dinner table, does the news really care about you more than your family? This is a genuine question. You need to analyze every belief you hold, where it came from, and then analyze what their intentions are. And if you start to do that, you look at something like COVID, for example, it's an easy one. You look at all the bullshit they were saying, and you say here, no, wait, these people don't care about me. If I had diabetes or insulin, I needed insulin, or if I had cancer, or if I got in a car crash, anything, they'd be hitting me with medical bills I could never possibly afford. They'd let me die. But they are insisting I take this shot for free, on repeat. This doesn't make sense. And when you encourage people to think for themselves, especially the youth, that's what Socrates got accused of. He's corrupting the youth. And to be honest with you, a huge portion of my fan base were 18 to 23, 24-year-old males. When you have the youth, the masculine youth of the world, thinking for themselves, that's pretty scary to authority. Because it's the masculine youth of the world that is, one, the revolutionaries, and two, also, that's the backbone of the slave force.
Good for you, brother. Good for you. I'm still just doing 10. I'm a little bit... It's a little bit gay, but I just feel like if I start to, I'm good with the 10, and if I do more, I'm gonna mess it up. So, but I know I need to up it. We've hit the 1 month mark, and I did it. But that's the next thing. Whenever you have a goal and you meet that goal, you have to make sure that you're going on to the next goal. And I am failing in that. So we're gonna bump it up to 20. I'll bump it up to 20. Why not? What's the date? Today is the 14th. So starting the 15th, 20-day.
If you need people to go die in a ditch in Afghanistan, you need them. If you need people to work bullshit jobs in a coal mine with no health care, you need them. If you need people to blindly comply to bullshit, you need them more than anybody, more than you need the feminists and the liberals. You need the real men to go out there and comply with the bullshit, to live a shitty existence, to purport and prop up a system.
The warrior class.
The warrior class, right? And if enough of these men stand in one place and say, this is enough, that's when a revolution happens.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the most dangerous group of the demographic that the Matrix and the people are trying to control, and they have to have a narrative over. And that's why they're trying to weaken them in every regard. And when I'm sitting there saying, don't listen to the bullshit, become physically strong, think for yourself, prioritize your brotherhood above what the fucking Matrix is telling you, do not blindly comply, resist the slave mind, all these things I'm saying, they just sat there one day and said, wait, the most popular person on the planet is saying, don't listen to our bullshit. Delete.
And this is exactly, what Tate is talking about. Lil Toes helping me out. Me giving props to Lil Toes, helping each other out, being bros. That's all it is. There's nothing else stopping me from there's nothing else stopping me from turning these noodles into anything else. But for whatever reason, I need to help some friends, and luckily, I've got it.
Yes, I don't think I have an issue with somebody coming after my name, saying whatever they want to say. It's going to happen. That's a part of the game. The bigger you get, the louder you get. That's whether it's in business, theology, church, military, social media. You're going to have that happen. And Hollywood's going to happen to you.
Guys, can I get one more like on the video, please? Just one more. Please, please, please. Thank you so much. That really helps to get in the algorithm, get some more people in here. We'll have a party.
The concern is when we can't have debates. Right. There's nothing more powerful than you and I having a debate. Vaccine. In our family, we sat down, we had the conversation about vaccine. My dad's a conservative, 80 years old. He says, I'm going to take the vaccine, and I'm going to take the second shot, and I'm going to take a booster, and I'm going to take another booster. He went through all the boosters, right?
I'm just kidding.
And he says, but I'm doing it because of my age. I'm like, go for it.
Yeah.
Do it. And my nanny, I'm going to do this. I'm taking this. Go for it.
And that was a point of contention when I was talking about it with my parents, as if, that I was telling my parents, who are, my mom's in her late 60s. My dad just turned 70. As if I was telling them not to get the jab. No, I was just saying I don't want to take it. Why is it that I can't say, you do what's right for you and I'll do what's right for me? Why does it, I'm going to do what's right for me and you also have to do what I feel like is right for me? Huh? Lilto says, so pretty much he's saying us non-top Gs are pretty much slaves, pretty much. Well, when you say pretty much, then yeah. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't I mean, maybe he's saying it if you want to, if you take this whole Matrix thing as far as he does, maybe. But you don't necessarily need, I mean, it's just an analogy. And if you haven't seen the movie, it makes a lot of sense why you're not really sure where that fits in. I don't know if you're joking about that, but definitely watch that
conversation, and then we made a decision what people wanted to do. Nothing wrong with that, but to not allow that discourse to take place is a challenge. To be fair, I went on there and I asked our research team, I said, guys, tell me everything Tate said that's pissed people off. Okay, I want to read some of this stuff. Sure. And some of it's rubbed some people the wrong way, and some of it's offended certain people. But these are some of the things that you've said.
He's about to read it out like Chris Hansen. And did you say you want to slobber all over her?
In the past before, you said it's been proven that the smartest people in the world are men. Okay,
correct.
I think you had that with Barstool Sports, and when they came out with the Portnoy and the highest IQ, and then later on, it was proven that most of the IQ was more men than it was women.
Absolutely.
Next, I will not administer CPR unless you're a hot female.
Yeah.
I will not administer CPR unless you're a hot female. That's just funny. That's just funny. If you're offended by that, you have issues. That is funny. I don't know if he's joking or not, but that is funny. Let's tell us what happened and what happens when so many people see through the Matrix. What do you mean? Then we can start doing better instead of just following this grand plan that's marching all of our lives off a cliff. We can start living for ourselves. And there is no the whole point is that there's no one right answer for everybody on how to live. The whole point is that we're individuals and we should have the freedom to live however we see fit. That's the point. Leave me the fuck alone and let me decide what's right for me. Leave me the fuck alone and let me decide what's right for me. As long as I'm not hurting anybody, leave me the fuck alone.
So what's actually interesting is, and this is what's really, really important, because it becomes a broader argument than just me and what's happened to me. And I want to make something clear to the social media companies also as a whole. A lot of the things I said were in longer format video on YouTube 3-4 years ago. And the way that social media is being produced and also digested has changed significantly in the last year. It's all TikTok, it's all YouTube Shorts, it's all Instagram stories. TikTok in real time has destroyed the attention span of billions of people. Have you ever watched somebody on TikTok? How long do they give a video before they get bored? How long? Well,
second and a half.
watch someone. Next time you see
2
someone,
seconds.
boring. Yeah. Boring. Like, your attention span is gone. You can no longer focus on the real world. You can't focus on anything. ADHD is being developed in real time from these apps, right? So the idea of me producing a 7-8 minute video like I used to, and people consuming all of it and understanding the context is gone. They'll take few seconds, like me saying I wouldn't administer CPR to a man, for example. And it was actually satire, of course. It's a joke. I talk at length about how
told ya.
That's the part. That's the whole point. It's a joke. But they take that one part, they put it on a TikTok, boom, boom, boom. They add some editing, they remove the tonality, they make it interesting and funny, and it goes viral. That's fine. But the point we now live in a world where anything you ever say can be taken out of context. Anything you ever say can be weaponized against you. And I'm not complaining. I don't believe in complaining. I believe in responsibility. I'm not saying I didn't say them. I'm not saying I didn't mean it. I'm saying that most of the people who are upset by things I've said have heard a few clips out of context and never actually digested any of my content seriously. You know, that was part of a very long video. The idea that I would let my brother die next to me, my own brother or my friend die next to me
Because he's not a hot chick.
because he's not a hot chick. It's asinine. It's an A, right? But
And what I think is a little bit of optimism with all of this is that love him or hate him, Andrew Tate is definitely a martyr in the sense of we're going through this transitional period of 20 years ago, you couldn't clip somebody out of context. That wasn't really a thing unless you were the news. You had to be CNN to do that. And so now anybody can just take anything from anywhere. Everybody's just posting it. So this is very new. And so just like with the deepfake stuff, at a certain point, there's going to be an inherent skepticism of, is this real? When somebody says something outlandish. And there's going to be an inherent, in order to just continue as a society, we're going to have to give people the benefit of the doubt, because there's going to be so much that's not only taken out of context, but stuff that's deep faked, all of this. We're always going to have to be like, okay, well, until I know for sure that that's real and that's really what that person said and all of that, then we're reaching that tipping point, because people it's Andrew Tate now. But remember, it was Milo Yiannopoulos and Alex Jones a few years ago. It's getting closer and closer and closer and closer to just normal people. I mean, I don't know if that's a great thing. Maybe find some other sources for history specifically. But he's not lying. He's not lying.
it's stupid to even believe it. But if you watch the whole video at length, that makes sense. But if you only see that, then it doesn't make sense.
You know what's crazy though? Then because I'm sure you saw what Rogan said about you and the position they took when we're talking about you. And they're like, look, we need this guy because he's got to keep talking about the stuff, and he's having a conversation with Brandon Schaap. I think it's Eddie. It's all these guys that are on there. Yeah, and then they're like, yeah, this guy, we got to protect what he has to say. But then Jake Paul said, I don't roll with Tate. I'd love to knock his ass out. He said something like that. Yeah. But then he said, but what I do support is free speech. But then his brother said something else. His brother said, the shit that Andrew Tate says will have a ripple effect much more dangerous than you can imagine, because his narrative is truly hateful. His rhetoric has extreme negative energy, and it will affect impressionable young people that won't show for years from now. And it's dangerous. Now, this is what he says.
This is Logan Paul, you're saying?
But
don't we all, little toes? Don't we all?
I want to say this before you comment on it. And then Junior supported you. Tucker supported you. I think the guys that like debate and comedians, people who appreciate humor, can understand that some of the stuff you're saying is funny as hell. You could be a comedian if you wanted to, but a person has to really pay attention to the comedy. But some can run with it, some cannot run with it.
Yeah.
When you hear the people that support and don't support you, how do you process that?
So first things first, I want to get very, very clear that Logan Paul is absolutely not really a tool of the Matrix. He's a bought and sold individual with no soul. He doesn't stand up for anything, and he doesn't mean anything he says. He gets pieces of paper from Susan or whoever else telling him what he's allowed to say on his channel to retain.
You believe it?
100%. Not only do I believe it, he's proved to himself. He will flip-flop on any issue. He can be bought and sold. The dude's a bitch. Logan Paul is a bitch, and I will say that here publicly.
And it's fun. Another funny thing is how that was just the pervasive opinion a couple years ago with the whole Japanese forest thing. Everybody just like, oh, Logan Paul, what a loser, just some guy in a Pokemon hat doing this, that, and then both the Paul brothers kind of got a little bit of legitimacy, a little bit of street cred. It's Logan Paul is a tool and he's part of the establishment. No shit. They will do anything for $1. They will do anything. Damn, what they gonna say to Andrew about this? They're not gonna say shit. What are they gonna say? They can't. He's right. And also, if they wanted to take it that far, he's a much better fighter.
If anyone wants to, I'll fight him for free. The guy's an idiot.
No money needed to
No
fight
money
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul doesn't believe in any of the things he says. Logan Paul is a man. If you ever were unfortunate enough to consume his content, I get sent to that all the time by people mocking him. As soon as something comes out, whether it's Harry Styles wearing a dress, whether it's Lil Nas twerking on the devil, whether it's this, he just sits there and goes, yeah, this is great. Yeah, this is great. He is a talking piece. He is the mouthpiece for the agenda. The people have come along, people who are trying to force a narrative, and they said, look, we need to have some degree of control over the exact demographic that Tate has control over. We're going to use Logan Paul and attempt to use him. And he sits there and just purports the bullshit points of view that the whole Hollywood establishment want him to purport.
This reminds me of how people like Tim Pool, people like Dave Smith were talking about Howard Stern, in the sense that Howard Stern was never, he was edgy. He was the edgelord guy, especially in the he was that guy. But when you really think about it, he was the industry plant. He was the guy that the corporate executives put in there to be the edge of the spectrum. He was the guy they put in there to be the edge of the spectrum. Yeah, it was all year. It was crazy. Oh, there's strippers in the studio. Whoa. But that was all sanctioned. That was all above board. And when I say above board, I don't mean, legal and illegal. I'm saying, there was nobody fighting him. He was being encouraged to do this. There was people in the general public that didn't like it. But it's not like the radio stations didn't like Howard Stern. Radio stations loved Howard Stern. And so what he's talking about is pretty much saying Logan Paul is the this generation's Howard Stern.
He doesn't believe in the things he said. He's told what to say. And because he was canceled before and it emotionally destroyed him, he sat on camera crying his eyes out like a little girl instead of being a man about it. He is so fearful of the mob and so scared of being canceled again that he's going to sit there and say anything he's told. He doesn't believe that shit. Before I was canceled, him and his boyfriend Mike did endless videos supporting me, laughing about me, saying how funny I was, tagging me on Instagram, inviting me places, etc. The second I'm
Which makes sense. I was surprised when I heard that Logan Paul was like, no, I don't like or whatever he said. I didn't actually hear, but I heard that he was not in support. And I was like, that's surprising. I would think that he would be. But the way that Tate's explaining it makes a lot of sense.
Canceled, they flip, reverse it, and shit themselves because they don't want to get canceled too. They are children. That's all they are. So Logan Paul's a bitch. That's the first thing about Logan Paul. And what's actually been interesting about this whole cancellation thing is it hasn't negatively affected me in any serious way because I've been saying on podcasts for years, I know a cancellation is coming. I knew it was coming. I knew that as I got more popular and more powerful to a degree that it was going to come. But what it has done is it has awoken the world, to anyone who's perspicacious enough to pay attention, to learn which individuals out here in the social media space actually have character and believe what they say, and which are completely bought and sold and are tools to the matrix. The people who have decided to stand up for me and say, no, this is bullshit, are people who have, to some degree, credibility. This is people who say what they truly believe. But the people who are totally a fan and then post-cancellation shit themselves in 180 and get a new piece of paper to talk from, that should tell the public out there exactly who's controlled and whether these people have a genuine narrative that they're trying to report on the world. And it's interesting. Logan's one of them, and there's a few others. But I'm glad it happened just for that alone, because it's actually very clear. If you go to Logan Paul's last podcast where he's discussing me, all of his fans, and we'll talk about fans and viewers in a minute because I think they're very different things. All of his fans, which he has none of, all of his viewers are sitting there insulting him. saying, bro, you're a fucking bitch. Like everyone, all of his own watchers are calling him names because it's so transparent and so obvious.
Don't even look at
Fans
him.
versus viewers.
Fans versus viewers, very different things. So he doesn't have any fans. He has viewers. And Susan and the Matrix and the people in charge of social media companies are like, okay, we've set our media machine. Let me ask you guys questions.
Don't look at the butler.
Let's assume, as professionals, let's assume what I'm saying is correct. Let's assume that the social media companies, when they ban me, set their media machine to all release thousands of news articles.
I don't like this stuff. This is, remember when the first time we talked about Andrew Tate on this channel was with the XQC debate. And he was getting a massage in the middle of the thing. And I stopped and I was like, who thinks that he had a massage planned for 5:30 in the morning? Or who thinks he's just doing it for the camera? Do they really need a guy in a tie to come bring them drinks? Clearly, you're just doing that for the camera. When I can tell that it's for the production, that's not good production value.
Same time, trying to convince the world I'm an evil man. If they had that degree of power and influence, which I think we can all probably agree they do, don't you think they take their number one talking piece?
I bet all the fucking the bots. They got a butler. Yo, that's baller. Da. Obviously, that's just a guy that they paid to walk through the scene.
Demographic, which is my fan, and give him a piece of paper and tell him what to say. Does that not make sense? Does that make sense to say, well, we told all the news to say it takes
I
bad
missed that. I'm gonna run that back.
for an influence, which I think we can all probably hold at the same time, trying to convince the world I'm an evil man. If they had that degree of power and influence, which I think we can all probably agree they do, don't you think they take their number one talking piece to the demographic, which is my fan, and give him a piece of paper and tell him what to say? Does that not make sense? Does that make sense to say, well, we told all the news to say it takes bad, and all of his fans are 18 to 25-year-old men. Who do we have on YouTube who obeys us like a little cuck, who could speak to 18 to 25-year-old men? Logan Paul. Okay, Logan, here's your piece of paper. Do you want to get canceled again, Logan? No, you don't get canceled, do you? No, Mom.
You're saying a call like that was made?
100%. The dude's a bitch. He 180 from a super fan to talking about my rhetoric being dangerous in 24 hours.
There's a difference between you saying who you think he is versus you making the speculation that he got called by somebody to say, here's a narrative we want you to take, or else we'll silence you.
Well, Logan.
Is it though? Because if you take that call, you listen to that call, and you listen to you do what you're told, then what's the difference? That's the bitch behavior.
Is not capable of independent thought. So if someone didn't give him the narrative, he didn't think it up himself. The dude's an empty vessel. He says what he is told to say. Somebody, somewhere, told Logan what to say and what stance to take. We can argue whether it was a social media company, whether it was his manager who was fearful, whether whatever. But somebody sat with Logan and said, look, Tate's getting a lot of smoke. You were cool with him. Your boyfriend Mike was cool with him. He's getting a lot of smoke right now. You're going to bitch out. And he sat there and said, yes, sir. Yes, I will. Because he has no character or no integrity. If it was all the other way around, let's imagine he was getting canceled. And I truly believed it was unfair. I'd sit there on my own platform and say, this is bullshit. Because I'm not bought, sold, and owned. He's an owned individual. So he's always going to say what he is told to say. He's always going to sit on podcasts, speaking to the youth, promoting Harry Styles wearing a dress, saying that it's great that Lil Nas twerks on the devil in real time for our children to digest, and then say, I'm dangerous to the youth, because that's what he's been told to say. Logan Paul has absolutely no capability for independent thought. He has no character as a man. That's who Logan Paul is.
Now, you said he got canceled in the past. I don't think he ever got canceled. I think his channel was demonetized for 90 days, but they kept all the stuff up. He was never taken fully down like you were.
Yeah, but at that time, that was being canceled. That's what happens with cancel culture. Back then, being canceled meant that everybody was mad at you for a little bit. Now, being canceled means you can't use Airbnb or the bank.
Fully taken down. They just kind of demonetized.
This is for the Japanese.
This is when he did the Japanese video where
Please don't say
he went to a place where
so you commit suicide.
Right. Yeah, I'm not completely familiar with the absolute mechanics of his cancellation. All I do know is that he cried on television repeatedly. So the dude was obviously emotionally affected by it and is fearful of it. And when someone is scared of something, that's the tool you use to manipulate them.
Well,
he's scared of being canceled.
Because when this happened to you, you're 35 years old, right? You're a grown man. I know you like to joke. I'm an old man. I mean, you're in literally your prime, bro.
Right.
When that happened to him, he was 23 years old.
Correct.
Right? This was 5 years ago. I think he's 27 now, 22, whatever. You've had a lot more life experiences and been in fights, literally, proverbially, all that, versus someone who's 23. I can see where you're coming from, being like he's been groomed by this virtual governments, these digital media companies.
He needs that.
He needs that. He's become a mouthpiece of.
Hey, we got Darshan in the building. Welcome, brother. Glad to see you. Yes, sir. This is a brand new interview. I don't even know if this is, if you can find this. I saw this while it was live, and I saved it to a playlist. So it is a almost 5-hour interview between the Valuetainment guys, Patrick Bet-David, and I forget this guy's name, and Andrew Tate. So we're doing part 1 today, And then we are going to finish the rest on Friday. Dashawn said he thought he was staying offline for a little while. Well, they certainly wanted him to, but I don't think that was his choice. He was banned. He was banned. But they can't stop him. They can't stop the top G.
He's a mouthpiece of them. He needs them. And you're right. He was younger at the time. I would like to think that Patrick has been through a much harder situation in his life at younger than 23 than cancellation and wasn't crying his eyes out like a little girl. So the dude's obviously emotionally soft. He needs them. The reason he needs them is because Logan Paul doesn't have fans, he has viewers. And that's what's actually been highlighted to me significantly since my ban. That there's a massive difference between those two things. Logan Paul is a person who needs the platforms and needs the algorithms, and people will watch him, but they will sit there and most of them will call him names, but he will have views. That is different than having fans. When you have fans, me, for example, when I got canceled, they say, "Where's Tate? Where is he?" I'll go anywhere he is. I'll download any app. I'll uninstall the other apps. I'll take his content and post it on the platforms they don't want him on.
Fucking goals.
Where is Tate? That's a fan. And that's different. When you only have viewers, you need the algo. Yeah. I don't need the algo. As long as people know where I am, they're going to come. And it's a completely different scenario.
Whose playbook you think he's following? If you were to say it, because isn't that the Hollywood playbook? Like you follow that playbook, and as long as you, because that's what you're speculating. He's
trying to get off that algorithm. So if you are a fan of the Indian Jesus, make sure you're subscribed and like all that good shit. Because when we get up there, people are not going to be happy. There's already people who hate me just because of the name. So if you ride with me, it might get a little choppy. Like I said, my TikTok was just deleted, not banned, not anything. I just logged in and it was like, there's no account here. I logged in with Google and it just gave a random name. I was like, what the fuck is this? So I had to start my TikTok from zero. So go follow me on TikTok. It's mostly just clips of the streams, but they're coming for your boy. They are coming for your boy.
Hold the playbook up. You follow our narrative. We're going to give you the world.
I think that since the dawn of human time, anybody who had power understood that it was a particular demographic, which is going to become dangerous to their power mechanism in the future. It's not a new idea. The idea that the Romans would conquer a Greek city and kill all the boys and all the military-age males, it's always been the same, right? Who's going to cause us trouble? We want to hold this city. These guys, we'll get rid of them. So nowadays, I think what they're trying to do is neuter this class. They're trying to neuter this class by affecting them mentally and affecting their mindset, affecting their ability to think critically. And if you neuter this class, you're far less likely to have a revolution when you do something crazy. Like, I don't know, like, for example, imagine for 2.5 years, you wanted to lock everyone in their houses because of the common cold. Let's imagine you were going to do something tyrannical. You would want to ensure that this class of individuals were so busy.
Guys, can I get one more like, please? One more. Just one. Just one.
Be concerned with either being depressed or jerking off or being physically weak or distracted. So they didn't all stand up and go, wait, this common cold can't hurt me. And I just started my business and I ain't going bankrupt for this shit. They don't want that. So they're trying to neuter a certain class of people. I don't really want to talk too much in depth about who I think they are because I'm trying to stay alive and I would never kill myself. But it's certainly happening. And I think anybody with a brain can see the narrative is out there. And the narrative is being purported and accelerated by all mainstream media channels.
Again, something else that a few years ago would have sounded like complete conspiracy theory talk. Hand the tinfoil hat. I want to stay alive. But now we live in a different world. We can see. It's not just, oh, oops, you broke a rule and now we have to take away your account. I'm so sorry. It's very clear. Again, whether you like him or not, it's very clear that this is a concerted effort and this is a concerted attack on this man being able to speak his piece. Conspiracy, gun, reality.
And people who are allowed to have a platform, such as Logan Paul, have sold their soul, cut their dicks off, and they sat there and say, yes, I will say what you tell me to say. Please don't cancel me. I am a fearful individual. The dude is a punk. And if he ever meets me in the cage, hey, destroy him in real time for free. And he knows that.
What about the brother?
Well, Jake, this is the interesting thing about those two, because me and my brother have become the most famous brothers on the planet. So there's also a degree of jealousy involved.
I was just going to ask that. You get the Tate bros and the Paul brothers, and it's like this balance of power that's being shifted, and this completely sort of this dance that's happening.
It's interesting, right? Because you had the Disney brothers, the Disney brothers, who gained a bunch of power and notoriety, and they were the most famous brothers on the planet, and they've now been usurped by my brother and I, who come from a very unfortunate background, grew up in the streets, and did everything ourselves. And obviously, the youth of the world today have an affinity and feel a synergy with us that they don't feel with the Disney brothers, because the Disney brothers had a very easy, privileged life. You know, they grew up relatively easily and privileged. If you get a Disney contract, then you become a YouTuber. You never really know the struggle. I mean, you've had it pretty good. So there's a degree of jealousy involved. Jake at least stood up for free speech. Jake has said some negative comments about me. I've said a few negative things about him, but I have nothing personal against Jake. And also, I find it interesting that Jake and Logan are not even that close. They may pretend to be. Obviously, they're brothers, but Jake and KSI have beef. They're literally trying to hurt each other. Logan is KSI's best friend. When you ask Logan, who would he choose between KSI and his brother in a boxing match, he's like, oh, I don't know, man. He can't even choose his own flesh and blood over some fucking dude he met.
I'll give it, I mean, that's more, interfamily dynamics. Like, if, I'm not that close with my brother or my sister. And if I, if I can't think of a situation, but if there was something that was pulling me, I was torn between my best friend and my sister, or my best friend and my brother, depending on what it was, that would not be an easy decision. And the only way it would be easy is if it was something that I would automatically be like, oh, of course, that's going to my best friend. So I get it, because him and Andrew and his brother are like that, but shit happens. And especially when both of them have been public personas since they were literal children. I mean, I'm going to throw that point away.
It's their whole relationship is weird. If you insult my brother or you have any kind of...
How wouldn't it be? How wouldn't it be? They've, like I just said, they've been a public personality since they were literal children. How would it not be weird?
With my brother, you have a problem with me. That's on site permanent. Like, me and my brother are like this, but they're not like that. They have this weird...
So that's something that you should be happy about. That's something that you should be grateful for. Instead of looking to other people and be like, oh, you're not as good as me. You don't know what they've been through. And especially because you're saying that they haven't been through the same types of trials and tribulations that you and your brother have, that type of stuff creates bonding. So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Relationship, and they slept with each other's girlfriends and a bunch of weird shit. So I don't know what's going on with them guys.
Yeah, I did say thank God Andrew Tate got banned. Go ahead, you were saying something.
I mean, we're talking about the Tate brothers,
right,
and the Paul brothers, arguably the two most famous set of brothers in the world.
Right.
But you've got two sons, right?
Yeah. Well,
similar age difference between these guys.
For me, here's what I like.
Yeah,
I'm a pro competition guy.
Yeah, right.
The fact that he went on Rumble and he got 500,000 subs in 2 weeks, you know who wins? You know who wins?
The market.
The world wins.
Yeah.
The fact that he went on Rumble, got 500,000 subs. Good job for Chris for making that move, by the way.
We know
we've had good conversations at the house with him. And he's making a move right now on our buddy. We got Russell Brand and a few other guys.
Damn, can't nobody like the video?
He's doing right there. Yeah, he's doing right there.
Amazing.
But go back to this. I want both to be competing. I got two boys. I want the Tates going against Pauls to go against this.
Completely.
I run an insurance company. We have a lot of siblings that compete against each other. It's great for the market. But where I was going, I said, who's Logan Paul's playbook he's following, right? He's 27. The video you talked about, 23, when it was in December of 2017, I want to say, when he was in Japan. The video with him and the girl when, the what do you call it? The belt. That when he got you.
I don't understand the question. I don't understand. What they're talking about is the Paul brothers, Jake Paul and Logan Paul, and then Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan Tate. I think that's what you're talking about, but I don't know. I mean, both of their parents have two sons.
That kicked off Big Brother, whatever it was in 2016, but that video is from 2012. 10 years ago, he's 25. So 23, 25, you coming from that kind of an environment, you can kind of hold the two things at the same level of accountability. One is suicide. The other one is, a extreme method of sexual, sexual sex that, it is what it is. But this is where I was going with it. Years ago, and I'm just trying to see, because, the whole thing, what would Jesus do? Everybody has a WW something do, right? Yeah. So Logan, when he did the Japan thing, the story came out, he was talking about it openly, that Rock's people said, hey, man, you got to distance yourself from him. But apparently what he told is Rock's people contacted to say, hey, delete all the pictures that we have together, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe he's going into wrestling. He's following Rock's footsteps. Rock is definitely somebody that if he ever wanted to run for office, that's a guy that could do it if he wanted it. I think Logan's another guy, whether you like him or not. I think he's got the pedigree to one day run. It doesn't mean you're going to support his policies, but he is a guy that's going in the direction of one day running. 20, 30 years, he could do it. So maybe he's sitting there saying, what would The Rock do? He distanced himself from me. Well, maybe I got to stop defending this guy, and I got to distance myself from him. I wasn't going to the angle of, Hillary Clinton called all these guys. No, I was going more, what playbook is he following?
That's a very interesting approach to that question. Comes from a lot of thought. That question comes from a place of true desire to understand the mindset of who is sitting before him. You don't have a question like that just because you're trying to get views. That's a good interview question. And especially because he asked it already, and Tate went on this whole rant, and then he didn't really get an answer to the question. And he came back to the question. Patrick came back to the question, and he asked it in a different way. That's the type of stuff that I feel like most people don't pay attention to. Maybe you guys do, maybe you don't, but
I understand exactly what you're saying, but I would disagree. And the reason I would disagree is because that requires a degree of thought and intellect that Logan Paul does not possess. He's an idiot. No, I know he's an idiot. He's not thinking that far ahead. He's literally
I gotta disagree with that. I gotta disagree with that. There is no way you can tell me that the Paul brothers are dumb. You can tell me they're cringe. You can tell me they're weird. You can tell me they're losers. You can tell me whatever. But when somebody has a certain amount of money, doesn't mean that they're automatically smart. But I need to see evidence that they are not smart if they have that much money, especially if they continue to make more money. You know, if somebody just wins the lottery, if somebody just handed an inheritance, that's one thing. But if you are continuously making money, especially today, and it's not just money, keeping yourself relevant in this attention economy, and people always have their attention on you, then clearly there's something going on that you know something. So he's not an idiot. He might be a bitch, he might be a pussy, he might be all these things, but he's not an idiot.
He says it doesn't matter. It's not just me. There's been loads of examples, and I put it on my podcast on Rumble, where we went through all the time. Something came up, some controversial subject that people were discussing. Is this good for the public consciousness? The answer was always basically no. Is this necessary for children to be consumed? The answer was always basically no. But it was purported by the Hollywood elites, and Logan was always the number one person sticking up for it. He is bought and sold by somebody, whether his management team, whoever they are, they think it's good for him to act this particular way. He does not think for himself. He says what he is told to say.
But isn't that Hollywood in general?
Completely.
Right?
Good question.
The Matrix.
Exactly.
The Matrix. So we agree. The Matrix. The agents of the Matrix. Some minds are not ready to be free. And those who are not ready to be free are going to sit there and they're going to defend the system. What does Morpheus say himself? He's sitting there defending the system. Logan Paul is going to sit and pretend that the world is going to be a better place if you remove all opposing ideas. And he's going to sit there and say that because he's a moron. Anyone with a brain understands that if you care about your children and your children's children, they need to live in a world full of healthy competition, exactly as you said. As soon as you remove all opposing viewpoints or all competition, you end in tyranny. And anyone with a brain will sit and say, if he ever get my character, say, I completely do not agree with what Tate says. However, deplatforming is wrong because of X. He doesn't have to talk about me or what I've said. He can sit there and say, no, deplatforming is wrong because we need to have opposing viewpoints, opposing ideals. Idea A, idea B, the truth is perhaps in the middle. He has no intellect.
You can disagree with somebody.
Woo! That was good. That was good. That's precisely why we have this notion of free speech, and whether or not it's enshrined in the Constitution that private companies should respect free speech. We as people believe that they should, even though they don't have to, because we respect that notion. We respect free speech because we respect what it does. And furthermore, we understand that without free speech, you end in tyranny. Without free speech, you end in tyranny.
He can't do that. He's not smart enough.
Yeah.
Tate's bad today. Okay, tell me when he's good again. He's a bought and sold individual. When my hero arc completes, because we're at a transition stage, when my hero arc completes, and much like Batman, people understand that we thought he was the bad guy, but we realized we needed him. And when I come back to save Gotham and the hero arc completes, you'll see him and his little boyfriend back on Instagram saying, Tate's funny, and swap again, because it's allowed. That's all he is. He's
That's a prediction for him.
So that, as he just said, that's a prediction, and something that always allows me to give respect to somebody is accurate predictions. If you can make accurate predictions about society, politics, things at large like that, the only way that you can do, maybe you can just guess and do it once. But if two things that you say are going to happen in the future, if those things come true, you've got my ear. Doesn't mean I love you. Doesn't mean, I'm going to follow everything you say, but you've got my ear. If you say two things that you could not possibly have known and are not just like, oh, the sun's going to come, actually making real predictions. And so the prediction here is that Logan Paul is going to flip once this all apparently washes over and Tate's back on platforms and everything, that Logan Paul is going to switch. If that prediction comes true, then it means that Tate knows something about Logan Paul right now. How much and how far and all that. That's a whole other discussion. But when people make predictions about the future and those predictions come true, listen to those people after the predictions come true. After.
Not prediction is absolute matter of fact, especially it also couples in with the fact that he's extremely jealous of my brother and I's success, because my brother and I's success is not based on the same successes that he enjoyed. His success is based on being a clown. That's why he has viewers. He puts on a Pokemon suit and he jumps around like a clown. He doesn't sit there and give ideas or say things that make people think to the point where they genuinely resonate with your mindset. He's not intelligent enough for that. He's a performing clown as opposed to a philosopher. So they're different opposite things, and he knows that, and it upsets him. He can't sit in front of a camera by himself and say words that are going to inspire the crowds of any city in the world to shout your name.
And that's not to say that, that's not what Logan Paul does. And maybe when you were 19 years old, it wasn't cool to just sit in front of a camera and give your thoughts. But now you're growing up. Now you're a man. Now you're encroaching 30 years old. And you do have thoughts. And you do want people to care about what you have to say. But do they? Do they care? Do you have fans or do you have viewers?
Walk through Madrid right now, there would be young people shouting my name. Top G, Top G. That's because of what I say. He puts on a Pokemon suit and does a dance. He's an entertainer. He's not a thinker.
Did we just have that conversation yesterday?
They're different things.
Right. And this is sort of to your credit. We were having this conversation because we knew we'd have this sort of dialogue. And he said, Pat was asking me, Adam, what do you think? I said, you got to understand something about my perspective on Tate is 95% of what I've seen about Tate is camera to the face, him talking and spitting game. Right. When you're talking about
what is that fucking white noise?
Paul Brothers, it's fighting, dancing, all sorts of whatever. I've never seen
you can pay for a goddamn butler, but you can't pay for good sound. You can pay for a butler, but not good sound. Get an editor. Get rid of these. Is it just me? Do you guys not hear that every time there's a break? And then it's like, come on.
In the rate. Yeah. I've seen your accolades, highlights, but I've never seen that. Yeah. So people know your rhetoric. They know what you're saying, and whether they agree or disagree, you're known for what's coming out of your mouth versus they're known for antics.
And that's the difference between a fan and a viewer.
That's what goes back to your
initial point. He has viewers because he's a clown. Clowns can have viewers. That's fine. And you need an algorithm and you need a platform for that. But if you have genuine fans like I do, they ban me. People like
type an F in the chat if you're a fan of the IndianJesus. Please feed my ego.
Like, to this day, where is Tate? And they will go anywhere I am. Anywhere I am, they will come because they don't believe they can find my rhetoric or my ideas somewhere else. If you ban Logan Paul, they can find another moron to jump around in front of a camera for you. They can promote someone else inside of their algo and steal his entire audience inside of a week. He can disappear and they can replace him. He knows that. That's why he says what he's supposed to say. If I stop being the performing clown, the new performing clown comes, the algo favors him, they put him up there, and he does a stupid dance, and he gets all my viewers. I'm a completely different kettle of fish. Different story.
That was a great perspective of entertainer versus thinker, right? I mean, when you talk about, let's just say there's a dialogue about Joe Rogan, what are you talking about? So the other day Joe had this guest on, and this person, and Joe said this, you're having a dialogue with another person. But if you talk about, the other day, man, Logan did this one video, it's hilarious. So that's where he's going is one is creating dialogue, the other one is creating entertainment. I can see that. And by the way, one thing, the day you got banned, we wrote up a story and we posted it on Twitter. And I said, so this guy's a threat to society, the way they're presenting it, right? Tate is a threat to society.
Question mark.
And I'm going to read all the things that you said, because I want the audience to hear it. Some of it is uncomfortable probably for you to hear. Absolutely. But I'm going to read it because I want the audience that maybe hasn't heard all of it see it. But to me, when you say threat to society as a father of four, when I watch Little Nas X making out with the devil on a performance, and you're saying that's creative,
here comes the butler.
Then you really do want to hurt the family nucleus if you're okay with that.
Correct.
If a Cardi B gets up there and says, who cares about your body count, right? Go make your money if you got to make your money. Another girls
doesn't matter if you're a stripper, if you're a sex worker, it's all good. Go get your bag, girl.
Or O.J. Simpson, who did what he did, and he's on Twitter giving fantasy football, or Khamenei, or Putin, or all these guys.
Hello, Twitter world.
who are out there giving their commentary. You're worried about this guy because he's a womanizer, because he's got now a completely different conversation to have. But I want to read this. I want to read this. And if you allow me to just go through some of them, let me just say it's only a few of them, and then we'll wrap up and go to you.
No problem.
So how are women allowed to drive? Okay, fine. I asked a question the other day. We're having this debate. I think we were in Cabo. I said, who's a better driver, men or women? And so, well, women get into fewer accidents, but the data doesn't tell the truth. Who drives more miles in their lifetime? And then we eventually, after 2 hours of debate, you see where you're going with that. I like Eastern Europe as a whole because corruption is far more accessible. Okay, I can see why that's going to cause a red flag. Right. You can't be responsible for something that doesn't listen to you. You can't be responsible for a dog if it doesn't obey you, a child or a woman. Okay, that's going to piss off women. Men who constantly give into mental health problems can't compete with other men who don't. I'm depressed. I can't go to the gym. You said that's why you got to go to the gym so you're not depressed.
Right.
Read the Bible. Every single man had multiple wives. Not a single woman had multiple husbands. It's against the will of God. It's disgusting. Okay. Sexual harassment is a disgusting and inexcusable. However, man looking at you or whistling at you or asking your name isn't harassment. Women have been exchanging sex for opportunity for a long time. Some did this, weren't abused. If you put yourself in a position to be raped, you must bear some responsibility. That's going to piss a lot of people off when you say that.
Completely. I understand. And I would actually, if we have time, I would like to explain all of these.
When I'm done, you can rebuttal.
Is he wrong, though?
Well,
because I mean every single one of them. If you want to reach me, I'm on Minix. Minix is a new app. It's fantastic. It allows me to interact directly with people.
Yeah,
I get a lot of messages on email, a lot of DMs and those kind of things. But the people who are serious, who want to have serious conversations and grow from them, whether it's a business opportunity or personal experience, etc., I'm on Minix, and I can't wait to interact with the serious individuals of the world. So I would like to.
Fantastic. Why would you be with a woman who's not a virgin anyway? She's a used good secondhand. Right. I mean, that's 99.9%. Read the Bible. Every single man had multiple wives. Not a single woman had multiple husbands. Yep. It's against the will of God. It's disgusting. Okay. Yep. It's easier to get off on rape charges in Romania. Okay. Of course it was. You went a little deeper, but again, you can give your position. Yep. Anyways, there's a bunch of other things that I can go on, that I can go through. So I read those comments. And here's what I'll say when I read those comments. I have 2 sons. I have 2 daughters. When I post stuff about you, and they'll say, how dare you, who's a father married with 4 kids, would you want a girl, your daughter, to go through this? And I said, first of all, I get judged on how I raised my kids for 18 years. Yeah. Your brother now has a daughter, so you got a niece. So your emotional attachment of your fear, paranoia for having, if somebody touches that girl, I know your wiring is, you guys are going to be in a complete different place.
Absolutely.
And God's got a funny way of giving daughters to men that, you know what I'm saying? So, or nieces. But when you hear these things and people say, well, dude, that's just not cool.
And let me just point out, I don't know the science behind it, but I think it has something to do with testosterone levels or something like that, where like he said, there's a trend where the more masculine type dudes tend to have girls for children. But what did he say? God has a funny way of giving girls like little things.
You can't say that. We're about this. We're about that. We're about this. What do you say to the people who hear this stuff and they say, dude, this guy's out of his mind?
I will tell them. I will say that they are a product of the modern world where sensationalism gets clicks, where nobody has an attention span, and where they've taken long format content, completely removed all context, and they're now watching something they don't completely understand, along with groupthink, along with group psychology.
Hey, we got indie film in the building. And at least he's got a shirt on and a jacket. Look at that. Welcome, brother. Glad to see you.
Just along with the idea that it's cool to hate Andrew Tate, they're now saying I'm the worst man in the world. I can explain each and every one of these sentences, and with explanation, people will understand that they're not some evil psycho. There's endless videos on TikTok of people going up to women on the street going, what do you think of Andrew Tate? And half of them actually say, we love Andrew Tate. I'd love to date a man like Andrew Tate. He's the kind of guy I like. The girls will say, I hate him. They say, why? He says, he talks bad about women. And then they say, what does he say bad? Every single one of them goes, I can't remember. They were told to believe it. Like they're told to wear the mask. They don't even know. They're NPCs. You know what's unfortunate about the world?
What's NPCs?
No, NPCs, like a video game. You ever played a video game, a non-playable character? Where you're like running around in an RPG and there's some character there who just repeats the same line over and over again? They're NPCs. You know what's unfortunate about the way the world is? Maths and statistics insist there's no way this can be broken. Unfortunately, half of the population are more stupid than average. That's the truth. There are a bunch of dumb people out there who just literally repeat what they're told. Tate's dangerous for women. Tate's dangerous for women. Why? Don't know why.
Well, why? I'll just take your word for it.
Yeah, I don't even fucking know. If you don't mind, I'd like to go through each of these one by one. If you remind me of the first one, I'll explain it.
So you have the CPR, your auto address, drive. So corruption in Romania.
So let's do one by one. What's the first one?
Corruption. Go to corruption or drive it.
Corruption. So let's talk about, I said corruption is far more accessible in Eastern Europe. The reason I said that is because firstly, I live in Romania, which is a beautiful country full of beautiful people. I was living there and people often say to me, why do you live in a corrupt country? And my argument was, every country's corrupt. If you think America is not corrupt, you are living in a bubble.
Dave Smith was literally just talking about this on Timcast, and Ian Carlson was talking about the notion of, where they were just having a general conversation about morality, and they were talking about like if somebody's robbing your neighbor's house, going and is it bad to go and break down their door to go and help save them or something like that. And Dave Smith is like, if you want to use that analogy, America is not the ones knocking on people's, kicking down people's doors to save them. We're the ones robbing people. And he had a whole fucking list of them. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. It's private message. Let's see. It was right near the top. Was it not him? Oh, does Timcast have its own thing? There we go. All right. Give me 1 second, yeah? 1 second, yeah? It might be this one or this one.
On the doors of other neighbors, then you're like, are we just going to sit here? Like, at what point do we get involved in
Okay, so then, but then at the same time, man, if you're going to use this analogy, then when do people start checking America? I love how we always just imagine ourselves as the ones, right? Like we're the ones who are stopping other people from breaking down the doors. Like, who's broken down more doors? Listen, man? Between the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan and the war in Yemen and the war in Syria and the war in Somalia and the drone campaign in Pakistan and the war in Yemen, what do you think the total death count is? It's in the millions, dude. Millions. We are the ones. We're the world's terrorists right now. So if anyone should kick down any doors, it should. And by the way, I'm not like a lefty. Blame America first. I love America. I love this country. I hate our government. Right. I'm talking about our government right now.
But if your neighbor down the street's like breaking down the doors of other neighbors, then you're like, are we just going to sit here? Like, at what point do we get involved in?
Okay, so I just wanted to throw that in.
But if your neighbor down the street's like,
and I think it was a very relevant point, and this is completely in line with what Tate is saying, as if America is this again. America is amazing. When I saw that post from Timcast, I reposted it with the quote. Love your country, hate your government. Because that's what I do. I absolutely love this country. But God, do I hate this government. So, directly in line with what our boy here is talking about. Let's back it up a tiny little bit.
Said that is because, firstly, I live in Romania, which is a beautiful country full of beautiful people. I was living there, and people often say to me, why do you live in a corrupt country? And my argument was, every country's corrupt. If you think America is not corrupt, you are living in a bubble. The world is corrupt. England's corrupt. They're all corrupt. The EU is corrupt. Russia's corrupt. Every country's corrupt. I would rather live in a corrupt country, considering that they're corrupt, with corruption that's more accessible to myself, than in a country where they're going to pretend there's law and order unless you reach a certain level, and then you can access the corruption. I'll give you a very simple example. If you are, let's say, the husband of the senator.
Hey, example, we got a puppy stream. Hi, I'm Morty. Give me a like because I'm so cute. I don't know. Just fucking like the video.
Just make this up. Hypothetical.
This will never happen.
This will never happen.
Yeah, for sure.
America, the greatest country in the world. There's no way that
husbands of senators don't drink.
They don't just do what? Let's imagine you did, right? In America, you get off with it scot-free. But if you're a single mother or you're a single parent and you're out there working a minimum wage job and you're trying your very, very hardest and you have kids to raise and you get a DUI, you're fucked. Now, I think it's kind of unfair that the corruption limit in a rich country, in this hypothetical super rich country, means that people at the absolute elite can do whatever they want and nobody else has access. I'll give you another example. Let's imagine you're in Serbia. Same scenario. You're a senator's husband and you get caught with DUI. Of course, nothing happens to you. But you're a normal person, you get caught with a DUI. Bro, I've had a hard day at work. I know I'm over the limit. I'm sorry. Here's $50. I'm sorry. I'm just going to drive straight home. All right, cool. Go home. Bam. Accessible corruption. To me, that's a more of an appealing environment to live under than under a society where they're going to take a normal person, lift them under the law, throw their ass in jail and fucking destroy them and sit there and cry about law and order, law and order, law and order.
Hold on. Jesus fucking Christ. All right. So he's making a great point. He's talking about, the situation just gave where, you had a little bit to drink and you go home and you're driving home. It's not saying that you should be driving drunk. Of course you should not be driving drunk. But the point is, does it help anybody for you to have to go to jail and pay thousands of dollars of fines? Sure, that's a good deterrent. But we're already here. And so I'm not saying I necessarily agree with the entire premise. I think there is a reason to have laws that are enforced. But the point he is making at this point in time makes sense.
It's all bullshit anyway. There's no law and order. The threshold for corruption is too high. So for me, as a person who said I'm a chess player, if I'm a chess player and I analyze the chessboard, I have geographical freedom. I have financial freedom. I'm going to live in a society. Why do I live in a society where I have the most possible moves to make on a chessboard? Where would I go? I'd go somewhere where my money can benefit me. I don't have billions. I'm not a senator's son, but I have enough to live in some other countries and be protected in some regards. That's just an intelligent chess move. I explained this at length in a video. All that context all removed. I was talking about speeding fines. They take the misogyny thing. They take something about rape, which is imaginary because I have no criminal charges against females in anything in my life ever. They put it together. They take in the corruption from Romania. They throw that in. They whip it up, and they throw it out to the world. And it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. What's the next one? I said women can't drive.
So let's stay on that one real quick. I mean, I can understand how that's going to piss off certain people when you're explaining corruption and law and order, because where does jealousy and envy come from? If you think about it, jealousy and envy comes from what? Sometimes
usually.
It comes from people that no matter what they do, they can never be Tate.
Yeah.
They can never, ever. Like we were talking to Graham Stephan and he says, what do you think about Tate? What do you think about everybody that's going to try to do his affiliate marketing? I said, go ahead and do it. Yeah. I said, he's not duplicatable.
Yeah.
So non-duplicatable people like you are annoying to people that are, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Correct.
They can't sit there and say, no matter how many motivational books they read, right, no matter how many videos of you they watch, they cannot talk like you and tell the story. Yeah. That produces envy and jealousy. Right. And you see how someone like this can be taken out of context saying he must be a criminal for wanting to go to a place that doesn't have law and order.
Absolutely. And I understand why they would say that. Now, what's actually interesting is Bucharest, the capital of Romania, where I live, is statistically 25 times safer than a city like London. It's not a dangerous place. It's the most Christian country on earth. 99.3% Christian in the last census. There's churches everywhere. It's highly religious. It's a very nice place. It's just a different economic bracket. It's nothing to do about Romania specifically. You go to any second world country in the world with a different economic bracket, the corruption is going to be more accessible, the price is lower. Humans are corrupt. Every single institution on the face of the planet that is run by humans, which is currently all of them, at some degree is corrupt. All of them. Whether it's doctors, financial, judicial, law and order, the monetary system, it's all completely and utterly corrupt. And to sit here and believe that any of them are just and fair, I think we've just learned in the last few years that we can see that even simple things like keeping people alive, even medicine, is completely corrupt from head to toe. All of it is.
Yep.
So you have to understand that. And then you have to look at the chess and go, okay, if it's all completely and utterly corrupt, and I understand that there are certain people who get to play the game on cheat mode. Do I want to be able to play the game on cheat mode if I want to be the best version of myself? Mm-hmm. Well, yes, I could possibly do that in Nigeria. I could play on cheat mode. I could possibly play on cheat mode in Croatia. I could possibly play on cheat mode here. Here, I have to stick to the rules. If I have to obey the rules of chess against a person who can move their pieces however they want, I'm going to be perpetually crushed for eternity. So it makes that's just smart business sense to me to sit there and go, you know what? Fuck it. Let's change the board. Let's move it out. Let's reset up the pieces and let's play this way. And this is nothing specific with the country I live. I have absolute respect for the country I live. This is just human nature. It's the nature of systems and how they work and the nature of the first world, second world, third world. This is just how the world works. So I say these things and people want to sit here and turn.
Any film says it helps the government to take your money. I mean, how do they decide what a ticket costs? How fair is it that for the poor versus the rich? A $200 ticket for speeding will bankrupt some folks. Others, yeah, and they're trying to fix that in places like California and New York with cashless bail for everyone, and of course they're just going way too far in the other direction. I absolutely agree that you shouldn't have to whether you are in jail or whether you get punished shouldn't be based on how much money you have, but also if you beat somebody over the head with a bat, maybe you need to spend the night in jail. Maybe put a little bit of bond on that. I don't know, but I definitely agree. It's they always go too far in the other direction. It's like, yeah, we are keeping people in jail because they're too poor. Okay, let's just let everybody out of jail. We have people. There's I mean, easily you can find people who've committed like 4 and 5 felonies in the same year or in the same month. I mean, in the same month. Is that better? I don't know that it is. Especially when you pair it with the change in shoplifting laws. It's big cities are a shit show right now.
And they mix it up. They take that mix it up with some girl shit and try and pretend I'm not talking about basic things like speeding fines. That's really what I'm talking about. And we can have a long, detailed argument about how corrupt America is. But I like to think most people with a brain understand the kind of shit that's going down in America. So America's absolutely corrupt as well. It's just a corrupt world. That's
When's the
human.
last time you lived in the States?
I left when I was a child.
So you haven't lived in the States in decades.
Never.
Wow. But you go back quite frequently.
That might come to an end.
That might come to an end. Maybe Miami.
Maybe Miami,
But you use an analogy to kind of set you up for this. Use an analogy with Pomp whenever you did that interview. You said, listen, if you two basketball teams, you play a pickup game for $10,000, no referees, no judges, no nothing, just go for it, guys. Do you think there'd be any cheating going on? Fuck yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So now, what was the analogy, the metaphor that you made for government and systems?
So I said, if you accept that in a basic pickup game of basketball for $10,000 without referees and judges, humans are going to naturally avert to cheating to make sure they win. Do you think the people who are in charge of the world, for the power and control of the entire populace and all of its resources, are not going to consider cheating to win? You think it's not going to cross their mind to just go, you know what, let's just change this little bit?
I was thinking.
You're going to sit there and believe, no, it's fair? Nothing is fair. Nothing has ever been fair. If you've lived a life of genuine hard.
Facts, indie film. So if the fine is designed to deter people from violating the law, then it only deters the poor. Truth is, it's just a backdoor taxation. I heard a joke. It's kind of not even really a joke. Of there's this rich guy, and he would just park wherever, and he'd look at the no parking sign would go here, and he would just park there, and his friend was with him. And he's like, whoa, you can't park there. He's like, what are you talking about? Yes, I can. He's like, you're gonna get a ticket. I'm like, no, that's just the price of parking. That's how rich people think.
The first thing you will learn is that nothing is ever fair. I've never seen a fair fight on the street. I've never seen a fair relationship. I've never seen a fucking person lose his girlfriend or lose their husband fairly. I've never seen a fair incident on a fucking road where someone gets crushed by a truck. The world is a very unfair place. And humans come along and we purport this idea, don't worry, if we're in charge, we'll make it fair. It's bullshit. Bullshit. Nothing is ever fair. And the human inclination is to win, as it should be. And the more powerful you are and the higher the stakes, the higher your inclination to win, as it should be. This is human nature. You wouldn't be able to put yourself in a position of power if you thought any other way. So if you're going to sit there and accept the basis that we're going to cheat in a basic basketball game, that people cheat in football games, people cheat in poker, and people cheat in all this bullshit, and then say no, but they're not going to cheat to control the world, and you're asinine. It's all a fucking lie. It's all a cheat.
It's silly.
There's a part of it that somebody, tell me who actually believes the government, everything they do is right, and there isn't corruption in government. What percentage of the populace in any country believes that?
Well,
I would say about 50. All the people that voted for Biden. That's just a little dig, but boom.
It's got to be very small percentage.
On both sides, I think most people. I think whether side of the political aisle you understand.
That's a good point too, though. That there's a lot of rhino type people who really think that the Republican Party is actually like the Republican candidates, like your Mitch McConnells, and actually care about your life and how it plays out, as opposed to making money for themselves. It's very clear that nobody who's been in politics for more than, 5 years doesn't give a flying fuck about anything that happens to you. They only care about keeping their seat and making money.
But you have selective hearing where you will typically only see the good on the side you support, and you will typically only see the bad on the side you don't support. But I don't know anybody who doesn't believe there is a level of corruption going on in the government.
Well, then you say that, but anyone who ever advocates for more government or more law, whether they believe there's corruption or otherwise, are acting adverse to the truth, right? If you believe an institution is corrupt, and then you say, I want them to have more power. Well, then what? So you have to look at the people who are always advocating for more law. Those people who are advocating for more law or stricter controls, to a degree, are on the side of a corrupt institution. And it's actually very difficult because we need laws. Nobody wants to live in a failed state without law. Of course, humans need laws completely. But
this motherfucker's spitting.
Dying empires, this was said by somebody more intelligent than me, but I can't remember their name. Dying empires adopt laws like a sick man adopts medicine. And you'll see by some of these countries in the world, especially the first world countries, as things get harder and harder and harder, the government only has one answer to all problems: law. Energy crisis is out of control.
You need law and order, though.
You need law.
A dying empire. What was it? A dying empire wants laws. I got to hear that again. That was beautiful.
I see by some of these countries, me, but I can't remember their name. Dying empires adopt laws like a sick man adopts medicine.
A dying empire adopts laws like a dying man adopts medicine. Tell me where he's wrong.
You'll see why some of these countries in the world, especially the first world countries, as things get harder and harder and harder, the government only has one answer to all problems: law. Energy crisis is out of control.
You
More
do need
law.
law and order, though.
You need law and order.
You
Of
need
course
law
you
and
do.
order.
Absolutely you
Yeah.
do. But I'm saying that you get to a point where you end up, you wonder how you end up in a tyrannical society. You wonder how you end up in a society where it's so hard for the average person to survive against the law itself. Because when something bad happens inside of a first world nation, the first answer is just create more law. There's an energy crisis, make more law. There's too much crime, make more law. Inflation, make more law. More law, more law, more law. Print more laws, print more laws, print more laws. You end up with a book of law like this, and it can be thrown at anybody at any time.
Yeah.
And this is what's actually interesting about some societies in the world. I live in a country, Romania, which is one of the poorest countries in Europe. It's a homogenous society that's very poor. The police drive Dacias that can't go more than 65 miles an hour. Underfunded police force. There's no crime. There's not this big, huge book of law. It's just don't kill anybody, don't be an idiot. And just live your life. It's pretty normal. And it's like that in many places in the world. But in other societies and other empires, they're like, no, we need a law for everything. A law about how you use your telephone, a law about how you listen to the radio, a law about how you do bank transfer, a law about this, a law. And to a degree, it ends up sooner on a long enough time frame. If you're going to make new laws every single day into eternity, where are you going to end up? Is that just because?
And again, I have to bring it back to the notion of whether you love him or hate him. That really gives a lot of context to the whole notion of living in a country specifically because of their level of corruption. Can't really use that for shit now, can you?
Romania just trusts Judeo-Christian values, and that's just how they abide.
I'd like to think it's that innocent, but I think a lot of it is also down to enforcement. I don't think they have the mechanisms to enforce laws, so they don't pass them. Whereas in other nations, they have the mechanism to enforce the law, so they pass them. So, but my point is, if I lived in a nation where they're printing 5,000 new laws a week, I know that's going to end up in tyranny. Sooner or later, if you're going to make new laws every fucking day, sooner or later it's going to be impossible for you to go outside my house. But that's it. And you end up in a society where that actually literally came true in certain states in America. You couldn't leave your fucking house. That's what happens. And it's a sad state of the world. And I'm not a pessimist in any regard. I'm just trying to analyze the chessboard and be as perspicacious as possible and set myself up in a position.
Perspicacious? What the fuck does that mean? Perspicacious. Perspicacious means having a ready insight into the understanding of things. Having a ready insight. Interesting. Now, see, guys, if you are not the type of person who is going to stop whatever you're doing to learn what a word means because you don't know what it means, you fucking up. It's little shit like that that separates people like me
This is something where that actually literally came true in certain states in America. You couldn't leave your fucking house. That's what happens. And it's a sad state of the world. And I'm not a pessimist in any regard. I'm just trying to analyze the chessboard and be as perspicacious as possible and set myself up in a position where I feel like I can live a life true to myself and true to God and be free and enjoy the freedom of my family and just do what I want to do without hurting anybody. That's all I'm trying to do.
Well, let me ask you, you think maybe from your perspective, you have a blind spot? And I'd love for you to push back on this one here. The blind spot is, the only life you've ever lived is the life of a alpha raised by an alpha who raised two boys who are alphas, who the way you describe your father was a guy that pushed you guys, challenged you guys. He brought you guys together to back each other up. And all you know is I can fight, I can play chess, I can outthink you, I can get out of things. I have the gift of gap, I can talk, I can do. So that's the only lens you have where, if we were living in times, biblical times, a guy like you would probably end up being the emperor. A guy like you who can do all of those things, you're probably going to make it to the top.
Right.
But they created laws and orders for guys like you to not bully the little guy, to protect the little guy. That's how they came up with a gum to call it the great equalizer, where naturally you're supposed to gravitate to the top.
Yep.
Naturally.
Agreed.
Because of all those things you bring to the table. People want a guy like even in New York, many times, Brownsville, they wanted some of the mob there because the mob prevented girls from being taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
But they still broke the law. So there was still that element of, so do you think a part of it where for you, yes, a person may say, I can see why Tate wants to be in a place where there's fewer law and order versus in a place where there's high law and order because it doesn't really defend them, doesn't protect them.
That's a really good point of view. It actually ties in very interesting to another point I want to make, where there's a correlation between people who are free thinkers and people who have opinions which differ from the norm and their testosterone levels. I don't know if you've ever seen this. But the higher your testosterone level, the more likely you are to stand up and say something that the group doesn't agree with. The basic premise behind it, biologically, is you're more prepared to defend your idea. If you stand up against 5 men and say, you're wrong, I believe this, at some point, and especially in history, that can become violent.
So you're telling me, little old me, 5'4", out here ready to defend whatever is coming from testosterone. All you tall guys might be little bitches. And this dude is such an why you do this to me? Ultra crepidarian? Ultra crepidarian? You gonna make me look up another word? Can you give me a definition so we can move on with the show? You know, I don't know what the fuck that means.
So if you don't have the capability or at least the bravery to stand up and face the possibility of violence, you're more likely to just comply with the group thing. Yep. So they've got a whole bunch of studies that proves somebody who is combative, not in a negative way, but
and that's something when I was in high school and I was going to these hardcore shows, the bravado was so magnified. You know, you're already around a bunch of young teenage and young 20-year-old males in a situation where there's heavy metal music playing, and that's already a heightened scenario where testosterone is flowing. The notion of navigating that space as being me was tough. You step on the wrong person, you hit the wrong person, you say the wrong thing, and you get ugly real quick. I mean, it's not like I grew up in the hood or anything, but these are white suburban males in 2005 who have nothing but anger at nothing in particular. So they go to these shows and they're just throwing fists literally at the air. Literally at the air. And they don't care if you get in the way.
As a whole in regards to not physically afraid.
I can't stop the show every 5 seconds for fucking definitions. This is not a dictionary show. Come on.
Of having a confrontation, let's say, is more likely to have an independent idea as opposed to somebody who is the complete opposite. They're just pure groupthink because fish swim in schools, right? That's how they protect themselves. So it's an interesting point you have there. And also that can be extrapolated if you look at the political parties of the world or you look at different ideas, etc. You can usually look at someone and kind of see their politics. Sometimes you can look at them and go, yeah, I get it. Right. So there's a lot. Biology is a huge part to play with it. And yeah, I agree with you. And you're totally right. My view, like every other person's view on earth, is biased. And I have a large degree of individualism and a large degree of I can fix this myself or I'll be okay by myself. And that's how I was raised. And it's also my genetic makeup. And you're right. I completely agree with you and I understand that. And that's why each to their own. I'm not saying everybody should decide to go move to Serbia because you're right. There's monsters in Serbia that'll take advantage of a whole bunch of people completely. But for myself and my own personal chessboard, that's how I set up life. And that's why the students who follow me and the kids I talk to, I say, listen, life is extremely difficult as a man. It's very fucking hard. There is no way I can tell you to win unless you're a top tier man. I can't sit here and give you a cheat code that allows you to stay a loser and win. I can only tell you what I've done. I became extremely wealthy. I became extremely capable. I became extremely smart. I developed a vast network of individuals that nobody wants to mess with. And I set up a life that makes me difficult to damage. That's what I did. You're saying, how can I comply, and stay weak and stay stupid and be safe from tyranny? And I say to you, you can't do that.
So, Anyfilm, what do you think it is that he is, or what opinion has he expressed that is outside his scope of knowledge? I'm not saying that there hasn't been anything. I'm curious what you're saying. If you're saying he's an ultra crepidarian, and that means a person who expresses opinions on matters outside the scope of their knowledge or expertise, what is it that he has said that fits this description?
That's why I teach the tenets I teach. And that's also why I think they find me so threatening, because I'm teaching people to do exactly that. I say, listen, there's no strength of mind or strength of opinion without strength of body. First thing you do is go train. Don't care what you think. Don't care what you think. Too small. First thing you do is go train. That's number one. If you think 2 + 2 is 4, and I think 2 + 2 is 5, and we're going to argue this to the end, it's going to be 5. So, do something.
Newsflash. That's 2 5 now.
That's the reality. That's the reality of Earth, right? And I teach kids this reality. I teach men this reality. And by even doing basic things like teaching young men to go and be strong physically, which is, I'd like to think we live in a world where that's all seen as a good thing. There are people in the world who sit there and go, wait. Making them physically stronger is going to affect our ability to change the narrative in their minds in real time with our Matrix program. That is negative.
Do you think there's wisdom in not saying everything you're thinking about? So, for example, Logan's going to have a big following that's going to say, well, he's wiser than you, Tate, because look at you now. You got banned and he's not. You're smart. He's wise. He knew what his limits are because he knows at what levels somebody is above him and he knows how to handle that versus you.
You're smart and he's wise.
you can't control your thoughts and you say whatever that's on your mind. That's what got you in trouble. Hence, Logan is wiser than Tate.
Interesting point. And I would actually agree with that point, because as much as people think I'm speaking my mind, trust me, this is 20% of the things I think. There are limits to the world. There's times to say them, there's times not to say them. However, I feel a duty that Logan doesn't feel, and the duty is to my children's children. And I believe certain things need to be said, and it goes beyond just trying to keep my YouTube channel. I have a duty. I have a sense of duty, which is he doesn't feel. He doesn't care. He will say anything that's said, and he will allow anyone to get banned. He doesn't give a fuck as long as he gets to continue on his channel. Please don't delete my channel. I need to be a clown on this channel. That's all he cares about. I care about the world as a whole.
What did I say earlier about Tate being a martyr for the whether he's trying to or not, for this type of inner workings of society? There can only be so many instances of Andrew Tate's getting banned and these ideas not going away before we realize that banning people that we don't like is not the way to get rid of them. Any film says, mostly I just wanted you to look up a word. That's my favorite. All right. You could start a show that's about, okay, you guys look up this definition. Until then, though, we're gonna keep it just in the stuff that comes up organically.
I don't care if they delete me from everywhere. I don't care if I go missing from all of social media forever. I don't care. I have money. I'm fine. I'll go to the mountains. I'll take my car. I'll chill. I have a good life. It doesn't matter to me, right? We have different objectives. So yeah, if my objective was primarily number one concern, keep YouTube, then of course I'd talk differently. But that was never my objective. So people will argue he's smarter. I would just argue he has far less important intentions. And I'll argue that he has less moral character and he's quicker to sell out. A lot of the things I say, I'll also be honest, a lot of things I say, I really don't think were bannable offenses. I just think I've said things that got so popular. I don't think it's the things I said. I think it's how many times they were listened to. And with that long list of things I said, there's one more there I'd actually like to really disparage because it's the one that annoys me the most, where it says, I say that women should bear some responsibility for being raped. I'd like to take this time and explain what I was saying in long format video, which has been completely misconstrued. I was talking about a girl. I was having an argument with a feminist, and she was saying that we need to teach men not to rape. And I said, my dear, I love how idealistic you are, but I am realistic. Men are already taught not to rape. She's like, no, they need to go change language at school and really.
That has bothered me so much. Teach your boys not to. What person do you know, even if they would commit an RPay, is willing to say, RPay is not bad? Go find me somebody who will do that. You can't do it. The point is that it is wrong. We know it's wrong. But people still do things that are wrong. And just because it's more specific to your gender doesn't change human nature. Teach your boys not to. Okay. We did that. Did you stop getting RPaid? No? Oh, then maybe that's not the right answer then, is it?
Write history and do all the shit they're trying to do to make men weak because they say weak men don't rape, which is another argument I want to come back to because weak men are the most dangerous men on the planet. I'll talk about that later. But I said no.
There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. There is only the lack of masculinity. Weak men are the epitome of everything that is wrong with our society. We can look at the women and indie film. Exactly. We can look at the women and complain about how women act and whatever. Go down that whole road. But at the end of the day, if we want to say that men are the leaders, if we want to say that men are the ones who run society, then it's got to be in men's laps to do better.
Understand that rape wrong. Unfortunately, human nature, some people don't care about doing wrong things. We should teach people not to steal, but they still steal. Would you agree that everyone says don't steal? The Bible says don't steal. The Quran says don't steal. Schools say don't steal. Everyone says don't steal. People still steal. So if I were to take $1 million in cash and walk down the street at night in the worst part of town holding it, to a degree, I would have some responsibility. When I got robbed, the police would come and say, why did you do that? People would say, Andrew, why did you do that? You have to protect yourself from things. You can't just rely on the ideological hope that other people in the world are going to be perfect and infallible.
That's victim shaming, though.
Or that the law is going to prevent it. You have to say, no, I can't walk through the ghetto at 2 a.m. with $1 million in cash. I take personal responsibility. She agreed. I said, then by extension, would you agree that the smartest thing a woman can do to prevent rape is not to sit here on a podcast and try and change the way men think and talk a bunch of bullshit, but to take some degree of personal responsibility and not put herself in dangerous situations? I'm not saying it's going to prevent all rape. I'm not saying that rape is okay. Rapists should be executed. I'm not saying that every single woman who was ever assaulted could have prevented it. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying the smartest thing a woman could do is say, this is dangerous. Going home with this guy I just met is dangerous. Walking through this area by myself is dangerous. Let me call a taxi. Let me call my brother. Let me go with my husband. Isn't that a more intelligent way to teach women to prevent themselves from being raped, as opposed to telling them you can do whatever you want, walk around in the middle of the night naked, it's no problem, men shouldn't rape men. I said, what you're trying to do is illogical.
I'm trying to censor the R word.
I'm trying to say will actually prevent rape. So what you're saying,
God damn it,
do whatever you want, men are the problem. You're convincing women to put themselves in situations where bad things might happen to them. Whereas I'm saying, listen, women and men, look after yourselves. I'm a full-grown man, 4-time kickboxing world champion. There's places I don't go alone. Like I came here with security. That's called being an intelligent adult. So this is what I was trying to say. I was trying to say women need to protect themselves and bear some responsibility to make sure they don't put themselves in situations where bad things can happen to them easily. I'd like to think that's a pretty logical point. No. Andrew said rape's fine. Andrew said it's women's fault. I didn't say that. I really didn't say that. It's completely insane. If I speak to my brother's daughter, or when I have daughters of my own, and they say, I'm concerned, how do I protect myself?
Well, they're not pushing this video out to anybody else now after we just heard that. So if you're here and you haven't liked the video, please like the video.
I'm not going to say, don't worry, here's how we're going to protect you. I'm going to rewrite the mentality of every man on the planet so you can walk around naked at night. I'm going to say, listen, you don't go out at night. I'll come pick you up. Who are you going with? That's just intelligent adult think. But they've taken it, misconstrued it, taken it complete out of context, put it on TikTok, reported it, Media Machine picked it up, lied about me, deleted me so I can't defend myself, and now I'm dangerous to the world. It's a fucking scam. It's all a scam. And it's actually quite interesting because the people who are close to me have said to me in real time, Andrew, you've impressed us. I said, how? He goes, the hit piece they've done on you is unprecedented in the world. And you seem unfazed. So it's not a matter of being unfazed. It's slightly annoying. It's a matter of just analyzing, what I can actually do about it. But I think most people who have been through the shit I've been through right now would be genuinely upset and affected by it. I don't give a fuck, right? Because I've set my life up in a way that I know I'm okay. But not many people can handle the entire world saying you're a fucking rape apologist and we're going to delete you from the entire world, these dangerous women. Not many people are going to want that to happen to them. So what they've done is genuinely criminal because this is bullshit. I was sticking up for women against feminists saying don't tell women to go out at night, they're going to get hurt. It's absolutely insane. And like you correctly identified earlier, if someone were to hurt a female member of my family, the biggest mistake they ever fucking made. So I don't care about, I'm the worst enemy a man who hurts a woman could be. The other point I made earlier, I don't want to talk too much, but we talk about weak men. This is what's scariest about this entire agenda they're trying to purport. Because ideas like the feminist idea and like the mainstream idea and like Logan Paul's ideas, all their ideals is if we weaken men, then if they become weak enough, they'll no longer be a threat. And I argue that point absolutely. I think the most dangerous men on earth are the weak men. I think inside of every single man, we're born with a fire inside of us that if we do not control, can destroy ourselves and other people. And if you look at men who have no emotional control, because that's what they're trying to teach us to have, to say, listen, you're a man, you're allowed to just cry all the time and have no emotional control, no stoicism, just react to your emotions. Do you know what happens when you tell men to just react to their emotions?
Become
anger.
Bitches.
You have school shootings, you have rape, you have violence. That's what happens when you tell men to have no emotional control. These school shooters are kids with no emotional control. Rapists are men with no emotional control. Violence and the bullshit you see on the street are men with no emotional control. Telling men
there is no such thing as toxic masculinity. There is only a lack of masculinity.
To not be stoic is going to create a breed of violent young men who have no emotional control, can't control their emotions, and act out on them. That is absolutely and utterly more dangerous to society than me coming along saying, listen, I don't give a fuck how you feel, young man. It doesn't matter how you feel. You have duties and you have responsibilities as an adult, and you must comply and act a certain way regardless of how you feel. That is better for society as a whole, especially as I'm only teaching the tenets of, listen, go to the gym anyway. Doesn't matter. You don't feel like it. Go anyway. Listen, your girlfriend left you. Your heart's broken. You're not allowed to stalk her. She doesn't want you. Get the fuck over it. What I'm saying is good for the world. They're saying, no, act out your emotions. Cool, you're creating stalkers, rapists, and school shooters. These people are fucking dangerous.
But we're constantly having this conversation about being logical versus being emotional. How many times has this theme come up on our podcast? Yeah. Constantly. And quite candidly, Andrew, I was more emotional before I started hanging out with BBD 3 years ago. But this is something you need to work on. Yeah. It sounds like you've been working on something like this for decades, right? But when you hear logic versus emotion, how are you processing that?
Yeah, you know what he makes me think about is, and I got a question going back to Logan versus yourself on the outcome, on what were you solving for, where he was wiser. But what he made me think about is the following. This is a question I think society has to ask themselves. The government has to ask themselves. Families have to ask themselves. Women have to ask themselves. Men have to ask themselves. Andrew Knowles, who's a ridiculously talented guy. He's a comedian, right? Yeah, fantastic comedian, right?
Great name.
Yeah. So he says, he was saying that, I don't know where I saw this video. I think it was on the TikTok video or the Instagram video, where he said, in China, they allow videos to go viral that's about education. In America, they allow videos to go viral on TikTok of people acting a fool or dancing or doing silly stuff because this is their way of getting Americans to be distracted to do silly stuff because that's how they're getting rewarded. And
China, ByteDance,
now,
they own TikTok.
let's say that's true. Let's say his ideas, he doesn't know for a fact that's true. Let's say for a fact that is true. Let's play that. Well, then we have to ask a question. Here's a question. What content goes viral? Okay, let's go through it. Does porn go viral?
Maybe.
Boys watch a porn video, they say, bro, you got to see this. Does porn get a lot of eyeballs?
That's a good question. I don't really feel like, I mean, I when I was, middle school, high school, you couldn't just pull up porn on your phone. And I've always been a little bit, I don't know. I never I never talked a lot about sexuality and jerking off and stuff with my friends. Like, I don't know. It was just never a thing. Do people be like, hey, check out this porn video I just whacked it to? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, but that's weird.
Eyeballs.
Well, it gets viral.
But wait a minute, it gets a lot of eyeballs.
Yes.
All right, what else goes?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I saw 2 Girls, 1 Cup. I know Mia Khalifa. I mean, I'm in. I mean, I get it, but the practice of sharing a porn video like a meme, that's weird.
Viral nowadays. What else gets a lot of eyeballs nowadays?
And just so you guys know, we're gonna go about another 30 minutes of runtime, and then I'm gonna drop the link.
So
stupid dances,
stupid pranks. What else?
Anything nonsensical.
So you have to answer the question: why is all of this content about depensifying men going viral on platforms that don't defend this argument? Meaning, Instagram doesn't defend what he stands for. Okay, TikTok doesn't support what he talks about. Okay, YouTube doesn't defend and stand what he stands for. The core foundation of those companies is very different than the core foundation of what he has towards women, because they're more feminist, they're more men are, making men weaker, all that stuff. But if these things are getting this many eyeballs, maybe what it's saying is the market is sitting around saying, dude, we've been waiting for this for a while, man. The market wanted to kind of have somebody talk. It doesn't mean it's true or not. But hey, maybe it's what we're thinking about. Maybe it's what a lot of people are thinking about. And that makes some people uncomfortable to say, no, like the other day, the one of my kids, they were watching a movie without my permission, and there was a scene in it. And my 8-year-old, my 10-year-old, we had to have the conversation about, gays, lesbians, all this other stuff. I kind of shared with you how I had a conversation with them. The moment I had this conversation, Jen walked out. She's like, babe, you like that, these types of thoughts. I don't want to have these.
You and the 2 boys.
I sat down and I gave them every possible visual they could get. So this is what's going on. And in many cases,
is that, how old did he say they were? Is that, do we?
People who are not teaching this because a father figure's not in it, we have to have this talk. You know what's crazy? As much as I did not want to have that conversation at that point, I love the fact that I was forced to have it because I'm able to get ahead of it. So I can control the point of contact and say, here's boys, what you're going to be facing. A boy is going to come to you and tell you this. This is going to be happening. When it does, this is what we do as a David family. So going back to you, if the algorithms are favoring a person who they don't support his arguments, because most of these virtual governments are more feminist, left, all that stuff, why do you think your messaging got so viral?
Well, this is the interesting thing.
Because people are looking for it. People are looking. That is precisely why you shouldn't be banning people like Andrew Tate. Because it's not that he just said things and forced himself into people's ears. Just like all the rest of us, he started a YouTube channel, put his views out there. And the people who were interested showed their interest. So the fact that he is the face of all of this is almost irrelevant. He was talking before about viewers versus fans. And how quickly we forget that this was this is the replacement. There was anybody remember a guy named Kevin Samuels who was public enemy number 1 for women? Does anybody think that he would never have gotten banned for something or another? Now, Kevin Samuels was a bit more on the, let's just say Tate is a little bit further away from that center of safety, for sure. But the point is that that red pill rage, that 18 to 25-year-old male who is not having sex and is angry about it, and those people are out there. Those ideas are out there. And the further you push them underground, the more they fester, and the further away from reality they are. The more polarized they get. Instead of it just being about, hey, watch out, I had a date with this woman who was just, trying to get dinner off of me. Instead of that, it becomes, all women are just trying to get food out of you, hate women, blah, 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 blah. That's what happens. So if that's what you want, then please continue to ban the people who are resonating with the most dangerous demographic. The most dangerous demographic. Angry young men. Why is it that angry young men can't just have an outlet? Why? It does not make sense. Make it make sense.
Because I didn't put a magic spell on the world. I'm not a magician. You're right. There's obviously a mark for what I say. People talk about how I became the most viral person on the planet. I'll argue the point. Not only did I become the most viral person on the planet, I did it while being heavily shadow banned. They've known about me for a while. They've been trying to shut me up for a while. I've been shadow banned forever. So I became the most viral person on the planet with all the algorithms working against me. Unlike people like Logan who have all the algorithms working for them, against me. Because I'm resonating with people who are sitting there going, finally, this makes sense to me. This is how I feel inside. And this guy's finally talking about it. Everything else I consume is telling me to do things that just don't resonate with my truth. I'm only saying things that people agree with. So to chop my head off and try and delete me is asinine in and of itself, because there are billions of people out there, or millions of people out there who feel the exact same way. This is what I was saying earlier, because, and once again, I'm assuming the social media companies have intellect and people who work for them who are intelligent. If they were smart, if I was a social media company, I would have come to me and said, listen, I would have had a board meeting and said, controlled opposition. And I would have come to me and said, Andrew, you have to correct your message. We don't want to delete you. We don't want to censor you. You have to say this way, this way, and slowly perhaps taper me down on certain subjects. That would have been smart.
You think if they would have come to you and said, listen, we've been following you, buddy.
And I would also talk to them and say, listen, I understand I'm now the most viral person on the planet. I take responsibility for the things I say. The way I say things for a video that gets 300 views is different than the way I say things for a video that gets 3 million views. I respect that. Let's have a conversation. I'm not a loose cannon. I'm a logical actor. They could have done that, but they were emotional. Instead, they martyred me and chopped my head off. But that doesn't change anything, because there's millions and millions and millions of young men who think the same way I think. There are millions of young men out there who don't want to wear makeup, who don't want to put on a Pokemon suit and be a clown like Logan Paul, who don't want to take transgender blocking drugs, who don't want to assign themselves to any kind of feminist ideals, who don't want to chop their dick off, who just want to grow up, go to the gym, get strong, be respected, make money, have a beautiful girl and a sports car. There's millions of men who want that. And I speak to those men. And most men want that. And they think by chopping my head off, those men are going to want something else, because they'll get rid of me and they'll put James Charles in front of them and say, no, foundation reviews. It ain't going to work. They don't want foundation reviews. It's not what they want. And it's truly crazy. They think that's going to work in and of itself at all.
You don't think it's going to work?
I think I've proven that it's not going to work. What's actually the most upsetting is this. I find it extremely hypocritical. And of all the things in the world, my pet peeves, the things that annoy me most are hypocrites. I find it extremely hypocritical that the system itself pretends it gives a shit about men's mental health. It will sit there and pretend it cares about all the men out there who are depressed, struggling, sad. But when I come along and tell them the only way I've ever found personally to be happy and contented, because I can only talk my personal story, is to become a man of status, to become successful, to go through pain, to use my trauma, to use the bad things that happened to me, to galvanize myself against attacks from the Matrix, as I've just proven I can easily weather. When I talk about men's mental health, they delete me. I thought you gave a shit about men's mental health. I'm the most popular man on the planet, and 90% of my content is not even about women. It's motivational and antidepressive. And you're going to sit here and delete me saying I'm bad for women. What about men? I thought you gave a shit. All of a sudden, you don't give a fuck anymore, right? Just delete him. Who cares? I had a man message me. A man emailed me saying that he was going to kill himself. I get about 10,000 emails a week. I don't answer all of them, but I answer some of them. This guy, his email was so short that I believed him. Subject was, I'm going to kill myself. And the thing is, I know you won't reply. I'm going to kill myself. I don't know what. That was the email. And I sat there and said, listen, my friend, I get a lot of emails. I don't know how serious you are. I want you to make me a promise. I'm going to guess that you're not in the best physical condition you could be in. I want you to make me a promise that you're going to get six-pack first and send me a picture of you with a six-pack. If you still feel like killing yourself after that, I don't know you. I can't tell you what to do. But I want you to get six-pack first. Email me back. We start going back and forth, etc., etc. I convinced him to get the gym and say, get six-pack, see how you feel. If you still feel like killing yourself, then I'm not telling you to kill yourself. I'm telling you that's what I would recommend. start training. By the time he starts,
Well, I can't censor all of that. So definitely getting kicked out of the algorithm here. So if you feel like helping, I'd really appreciate that.
physique updates, live in a better condition. He started sending me huge emails of apology and thank you, saying you saved my life. I can't believe I was thinking of killing myself. You can't believe he changed. If that man would have emailed Logan Paul, would Logan Paul have given a fuck? Would ignore him? I think he answers a single fucking email. He doesn't give a shit.
In fact, remember there was a viral clip where there was a fan who went, and I mean, I'm not blaming Logan for this, but a fan went up to Logan and was like, dude, I moved out here. I quit my job. I'll do anything for you. What is it that you need? I'll do anything. And granted, that is not a good tactic. Don't do that. But the guy was, had that fervor and that naivete that somebody like Logan really could have changed his life. And again, I don't think that it's wrong that somebody who is that unaware of like, yo, I'm running a business. You can't just come to me and be like, hey, do you have some stuff for me to do? I get that part. But the way that he approached it really does back up what Tate is saying right now. Excuse me. Indie Film says, I tell people that diet and exercise will fix most ailments. That is correct. Absolutely. Good point.
All these fucking media figures, all these people who are good for the system, who are dancing on the devil and fucking sitting here talking about dangerous rhetoric and all the other bullshit. You think they fucking answer an email? They don't give a solitary fuck about the young men of the world. They would have left that man to die. And even if they would reply to him, what advice would they give? Go take antidepressants and watch my YouTube. They have no value to give a guy because they've never had a life of actual genuine struggle. I'm out here genuinely saving lives, genuinely saying to men, the world you now live in is so competitive that if you're not a competitive male, you're going to be perma-depressed. You don't have a mental disease. You're just in a competitive environment and you are losing.
Isn't it funny how when we were watching him talk to XUC, he was so just out of his element with being online, and now he's using terms like NPC and bots and permaband and perma this, and this time changes people.
You need to become a competitive person. There's no easy way. It's going to be hard. It's going to suck. But if you get to Talk G, the name, if you get there, it's a life worth living. Right. That's what I'm saying. And then millions of young men are going, wow, he's showing that you can be born from nothing, single parent on a fucking council estate in the worst town in England, be stabbed, come from nothing, and survive and end up with a multi-millionaire. Maybe I can do it if I work hard.
What the fuck?
Which pill they should take, and then they put James Charles for him on the algorithm. This shit's evil. It's genuinely criminal. I have nothing but
did I lose you guys?
a force for the world. And this is what I was talking earlier about the hero's arc and the arc.
Give me a 1 in the chat if you're still here. I just had a glitch. I don't know what's going on.
And the redemption, because I think that inside of human consciousness, people are very, very familiar with the idea of the arc of a villain turning into a hero. It's in the Bible. It's in every superhero movie. The guy starts off bad. He's crazy. He's too bad. We don't want him. He's a maverick.
Is anybody here? Give me a 1 in the chat if you are here. My shit's bugging out. Struggle streaming.
Can't control him, blah, blah, blah. Towards the end, you're like, where's Batman? Where's Batman at? And it's going to take a matter of time before people realize, you know what? Tate was actually a good force for the youth. Perhaps he needs to create his message. Perhaps he needs to take his newfound fame on board and change the way he says certain things. Agreed. I'm not infallible as an individual. But to sit here and say I'm dangerous and I must be deleted is disservice to all the men of the world. And then they're going to start printing articles talking about men's mental health. They don't give a fuck about men. They don't give a shit about the 18-year-old boy out there who can't get a girlfriend and is genuinely lonely. And the fucking sports star's fucking them all. I'm telling him what he has to do. I'm saying, listen, bro, of course the sports star's fucking them all. He's a G. You ain't shit. If you were a chick, would you choose you? Because I fucking wouldn't. So whose fault is that? The best thing about being a man is you get to build your character from the ground up. You're not born with any value. You're born as a blank slate. I decided I wanted to be a toting, kickboxing, Bugatti driving fucking bad boy. I did it all myself. You get to choose you want to be
Bugatti driving
musician and be sensitive and play guitar and get a map and be important that way. You get to choose you want to go get in the cage, you kick the fuck out of somebody. You get to choose to be anything you want. But you have to go and do it. It's going to be difficult because it's competitive. But that's the beauty of being a man, the blank slate. And I inspire men to look at themselves as a blank slate and go, you know what? I ain't shit now, but I can become anything I want. How could I possibly give up on myself? And then they delete me. And then they say,
so here's what we're going to do, guys. Like I said, this is a 5-hour podcast, and there is no fucking way I'm sitting here for another 5+ hours. So we're going to watch a little bit more. I'm going to drop the link. Depending on who comes up and how many people come up, we'll see how we're going to do the panel. And then we'll finish the rest on Friday, right? Fucking Wednesday, right? The next 2 days. 2 days, 8 p.m. That's what we're going to do. So I'm dropping the link. Come on up.
Care about men's mental health. If they don't give a fuck, they're lying.
This is what they say. that women are and men must become.
Completely true.
Right? I mean, it's because a man, you talk about, there's nothing worse than being born rich and then just being rich.
Oh,
The beauty is being fucking dirt poor and becoming rich.
Completely.
And all three of us sitting here have dealt through that. A man has to have tenacity and go through struggles and days where you're like, I can't fucking do this anymore, but still pop your head up the next day and be like, all right, let me go back, get back in the gym.
I say this.
Tenacity.
I say this all the time. I say the best things that ever happened to me are the worst things that ever happened. All the trauma and bullshit I've been through in my life are the best things that ever happened to me. Because as a man, if you've not had a difficult life, you cannot be good at being a man. Being a good man and being good at being a man, they're two slightly different things. But to be good at being a man, you need to have been through so much shit that when the Matrix deletes your entire life from the internet and starts lying about you at mass, and people start doing protests wanting you fucking hung, and they're looking for your family members, and reporters start calling every ex-girlfriend you ever had, trying to convince them and bribe them to lie, to come out and say you're something you're not, they're genuinely out to put you in jail. That you can sit there and be focused and stoic enough to go, you know what? Okay, what's the chessboard? What's going to happen? Who's trying to shoot me right now? Nobody. Okay, so it's better than it was a couple years ago. Okay, so X, Y, Z, and plan through it, right? You're never going to be capable as a man if you've not had trauma. The best men ever have had trauma. If you call a police officer, you need a brave police officer. He ain't going to be brave unless he's been through shit.
Yeah.
He's not going to be brave unless he's been through shit. So we also, as a society, sit and look at men that we want. Well, there's two kinds of society. There's the matrix society, but the true society, the true women with the brain. They actually, I want a man who's strong, who's supportive.
See, again, what's going on with the sound over there?
Who's intelligent, who financially provides, etc. Then you're going to want a man to some degree who's been through some shit.
Yeah.
And a man who's internalized it and used it as a weapon. And this is what I say to people. People email me their long lists of all the bad things that happened to them, and I reply, fantastic. You are so lucky. You have all the building blocks to become the exact kind of man you want to be. If none of this shit happened to you, when something else bad happens to you later, you wouldn't be able to deal with it. Fantastic. He goes, no, but you know, this. He replied again with more excuses. Said, why are you making excuses? I just told you what happened to you is a good thing. You need to reframe your mind. Bad things happened to Batman. They killed his parents. Do you understand? That's why he's Batman. You just told me you have the building blocks to become the most, you might become top G when I retire. Fantastic. What are you complaining about? He goes, well, what do? I said, you need to work. Take all that trauma. If you're truly heartbroken, my friend, and we've all been there as men, if you're truly heartbroken, you can't sleep. That means you're going to get in fantastic shape. You better hit the gym. You have nothing else to do. But stop watching YouTube. Stop emailing me. I want pictures of you in the gym. Get to fucking work. Heartbreak's a fantastic motivator, as is depression, as is sadness. Great. Look at what's pissing you off and make sure it never happens again. If you were jacked and rich as fuck, she probably wouldn't have left your ass. So get your shit together. Right? So this is so important.
Guys, the link is in the chat. It's pinned at the top of the chat. Come on up.
Trauma is such an important part of being a man. And the Matrix talks of trying to say that trauma is terrible and avoid trauma, or if you get trauma, take a pill. And that's unrealistic. Trauma is going to happen to you. And you as a man need to internalize it, accept it, and weaponize it to become the best version of yourself you can be. And that requires mental strength and stoicism. It does not require, be more emotional. If you're more emotional, you're going to fall apart when shit happens. You're going to end up like Logan Paul, crying your eyes out on TV like a bitch.
I imagine there's a lot of men that hate you because they have not done anything with their lives. And you're basically saying, clean it up, buddy. Get it together, hit the gym, make something in your life.
It's
and
interesting.
they want to get rid of it quick. They want the easy way out. And they probably hate you more than feminists.
It's interesting. The men who support me online have their shit together. The men who hate me are fat. The men who've done the takedown videos of me are objectively unattractive individuals. I'm not trying to be insulting, just objectively obese, unattractive individuals, right? People don't have their life together. The same even more with women. You can find 10 women who are sticking up for me, supporting me. They're all beauty queens. And then you find some girl sitting there, some troll sitting in the corner. Andrew's bad for women. You know, so there's a lot to be said there, right? And hate always comes from below. It never comes from above. The people who have their lives together, whether male or female, love me. The people who have failed, and they know failure is their own fault, and I show I'm a good mirror. I reflect their own failures at them. Oh yeah, of course they hate. And that's what's happened here. What's most upsetting is as follows. This whole idea of protecting women and misogyny has been weaponized to attack someone they don't like. These people saying that we need to get them down to these misogynists, they don't give a fuck about women, these people. Even they care. There's some fat troll. There's some dude called Daz who made a takedown video of me, which just came out actually on my last podcast. Turns out he was talking to a 13-year-old girl. So he's a fat pedophile. So there's a fat pedophile who did a video on YouTube about me saying that I'm dangerous for women. Got 10 million hits because he's objectively unattractive, saying that he cares about women, but he's a pedophile himself. He doesn't care about women. He's jealous of them.
And isn't that how it always goes? So let's welcome our first guest, Jeffrey. Welcome. Have you been here before by a different name, or is this your first time here?
No, I've been by, you know me by many names.
Okay.
You call me many names.
All right. So what did you think of all this?
Dude, man, hold on a second here. Let me get out on the deck. I don't know what to think about Andrew. Is it Andrew Tate?
Yep.
First of all, hi, this is Indie Film. I told you I went by Jeffrey Adonis in college. I'm kind of hurt you don't
Oh, that's
recall.
right.
Secondly was
I got you, Darshan.
was Andrew Tate the guy that had the videos that say "Be like me" and make a bunch of money on YouTube, or was that somebody else? Remember that the one guy, the one creator, was kind of making fun of him. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to be like him. I'm going to do what he does, and then I'm going to be, I'm going to be famous too, and I'm going to be rich too." Was that Andrew Tate?
Like,
or was that somebody else?
when we were talking about Jeffrey and Adonis?
Yes, I think it was that.
So
guy.
no, that's a different guy. So that
Okay.
that's a different
Is he
guy.
also bald and shirtless?
No, he's Indian actually. That was Hamza. That was Hamza. When he was talking, he had that beef with Sneeko. But
okay, yeah. I get those guys confused, I guess.
But yeah, I mean, just based on what he said today, if assume that you don't clearly you can't tell his content apart from other red pill type guys. What do you think of what he's been saying?
Yeah, I'm with him. I think that some of it's a little overboard, some of it's a little simplified. It seems like I've done this. I've been a multimillionaire, and now they know they can too. It's like I think he could have tempered that with saying, "Hey,
well, but he didn't say that today,
not going to be a." No, just now he said something about coming from a broken home or growing up in the hood in England and then being a fighter and all the whatever stuff, and then becoming a multimillionaire, and basically that they see that and they're like, oh, I can do that too. It's like, or they understand they can succeed. It's like the whole Michael Jordan, he came from the hood and became a basketball star and they got sneakers named after him. I can do that too. You can probably become successful, but maybe not as an NBA player.
Tell that to LeBron.
You can be successful. Yeah.
Tell that to LeBron though. Well, I'm not sure I understand where you're coming from, because
you can't tell all your followers.
It's almost like you're saying that you shouldn't fill kids' heads with ideas that they could be successful.
No. I'm saying fill their heads with ideas that they can be successful. Don't fill their heads with ideas that they can become the next LeBron or the next Andrew Tate.
But how do you? But again, that's my point. With when you were talking,
are you going to become the next LeBron?
I'm not, but LeBron became the next Michael Jordan for the purposes of this this conversation. He's not telling people to become the next him. He's showing, as Posital is saying, that's the whole point. Inspire a man to be successful. Aim for the moon, land in the stars. So so that my confusion is coming from the fact that saying that you can do it has never been a controversial message, but because he's saying it, you have an issue with it.
No, I'm just saying the way he's saying it, and maybe I saw something you didn't, or maybe I saw something that wasn't there, but it seemed to me he was saying because he's become a multimillionaire the way he did, everybody can become multimillionaires. It's like, I think
no,
say that everybody can become millionaires,
Well, we went over this with Sneeko. We went over this with Sneeko, though. There's a difference between everyone can become a millionaire and anyone can become a millionaire. Right? Do you believe that anyone can become a millionaire, or do you believe there's a certain class of people or a certain group of people, or is it anyone who can theoretically?
The WAPs, they're not smart enough, but everybody else.
I'll leave that one there. But
I politico semplice italiano.
But exactly, that's probably
I agree
the most innocuous thing that he talks about. is being successful and saying that, you know, no matter where you come from, you can be successful. Is that that's the message that I got.
agree with that, and that's I mean, our conversation the other day with Trey was along those lines. You don't need. Here's the other thing: you don't need to look up to somebody to be successful. You don't need. Unfortunately, I guess young men need somebody because schools. The people that are teaching them and surrounding them aren't guiding them in a positive way. They're telling them that, you know, they're toxic or whatever when they should be. I mean, we should all have grown up with John Wayne as our 8th grade teacher, you know.
Well, exactly.
So I guess they need
why
this person out there as their guru, but I mean.
So this is, I mean, it goes back to exactly, Postal. This goes back to the notion of why we want fathers in the home, because we all need role models. And again, that undergirds the point that even if you don't love Andrew Tate, the only reason he's top G is because his message is resonating so well with so many people. And Jay saying many players try to be Michael Jordan, but ended up becoming successful role players, making millions of dollars. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, I agree with that. And, you know, to scale it down, you know, many of his followers can become successful plumbers. They could be successful mechanics. They could become successful attorneys.
Right.
But what I was getting from him was like, you guys could be multimillionaires too. And it's like, let's give them let's give them something that's achievable and then move on from there. Like, you know, like his get a 6-pack. That's a pretty fucking hard thing to achieve, depending on how old you are and what kind of shape you're in.
Is it?
He's telling that guy wants to kill himself.
Is it difficult or is it complex? Is it more complex than get in shape, or is that just a difficult thing to do?
Get in shape is a lot easier than get a 6-pack.
Okay, so get a 6-pack.
I'm playing soccer from 6 years old on in my 40s and 50s, competitively with kids in their college kids. I don't have nothing near a 6-pack, but I can out sprint most of those kids on the field, or at least I could. I haven't played in a year.
Okay, but
I'm nowhere near having a 6-pack.
But you're completely missing the point. The fact is, you are already an athletic person.
Yeah,
that's the point. You're already doing the thing. You're already doing the thing. What did he say?
Missing my point. I think he's like told this guy, "Hey, before you kill yourself, go work out and get a 6-pack. And when you get a 6-pack, take a picture and send it to me." And then
no. You are missing the point. You are the one that's missing the point. That doesn't resonate with you because you are already in shape. If somebody is not in shape at all, again, I go back to the original question: get a 6-pack. Is that hard to do, or is that an oversimplified instruction?
Telling him get yourself capable of doing 100 push-ups is more achievable than getting a 6-pack.
That's not the question I asked you. I agree with you, but that's not the question I asked
I'm saying that is a goal that is way too lofty.
Why?
For some that doesn't work out.
Why?
Because they're going to get frustrated. They're going to be like, I've been doing this for 6 months. I don't have a 6-pack. I'm frustrated, but I can do 100 push-ups.
Okay.
I can do 50 sit-ups.
Okay, so keep going, and then you
get a 6-pack.
So keep going, and then you get a 6-pack.
Dude, I don't know, dude.
Wait. Are you telling me that if you wanted a 6-pack at your age and stage, you were incapable of doing it?
if I wanted a 6-pack at my agent stage, and I was willing to give up, all my vices, food and liquor and whatever else,
Yes.
and I was willing to go on diuretics and all the other stuff,
yes
it would
or no
probably
question.
take me a year. No, it's possible. But
Right.
it would probably
So
take me a year of misery.
don't you think that if somebody is sending a 3-word sentence about deleting themselves, that maybe they need a little bit harder of a message? They need something to smack them in the face a little bit. They need a little hook. Get a 6-pack, show me the picture. That's going to hit somebody who's in that state of mind better than, well, let me tell you about this workout plan. Actually, I promise it'll make you feel better. It's achievable. And I think if you just do this and then you do that and that. And that. No, the idea is you set a goal, get a 6-pack, and then come tell me, like, okay, well, then if that's achievable, let me get the 6-pack or at least try. And then even if I don't, I'm probably not going to be as
well, the process is going to make them less likely to be depressed.
And so do you think Andrew Tate is unaware of that when he says get a 6-pack? Or do you think that is precisely why he is saying
no, I think he talked about the process,
such as get a 6-pack instead of lose 5 pounds or start walking around the block every day?
I can't read the text.
It probably makes more sense that he's aware of that. He's aware of the fact that the goal of getting a 6-pack is a lofty one. And so to try to get there in the process, his goal, the goal is not to get the kid a 6-pack. The goal is to get the kid not to end himself. So I don't see how, make that message better and more succinct.
I guess I'm looking at in the way of, so if you've ever been in debt and you have 5 credit cards and you want to get out of debt, you don't start paying on the credit card that you have the most debt on. You pay off the smallest one. And then you move up to the next bigger one, and then you move up to the next bigger one. That's how you get out of credit card debt. Right. You have a card that has $10,000. You don't sit there and try to work that $10,000 down. You go on the card that has $500 debt on it, or $1,000. And to me, you're getting a little victory here, a little victory here, and you're building up to the big victory of the $10,000 card and all the debt wiped away. If you started on that $10,000 card, there's a chance you might just give up because you're like, I'm never going to pay this off, and I've got all these other cards, and they're just getting worse.
Okay,
so you work on.
That's a perfect example. So in let's make that into analogy. The analogy that you brought up. Now we can equate, having zero credit, or having zero debt, to having a 6-pack. So what you're talking about is how to get rid of your debt, which would be analogous to how to get a 6-pack. If somebody comes to you and has a shit ton of debt, and they're like, I'm unhappy with my life, and I want to, and you find out that they have a lot of debt, do you think that saying maybe get rid of your debt would be bad advice or good advice?
It'd be good advice, but if it's
exactly, even if you have $100,000, then you get into the conversation. Well, I've got $100,000 in debt, and that's why I want to end myself. Because so instead of doing that, then you step back and play and figure out how to do this and that and that and that and that and that, and then pay off your debt. And look at that. Look at that. Even though you still have got a couple $1,000s of debt on this one card, because you came to me and asked, how do I fix my situation? I told you, get out of debt, even though you're still in debt. You're in a much better place.
You got to have a plan to get out of debt.
And you, much like you have to have a plan to get a 6-pack.
The plan's not I'm just going to go and work out and get a six pack.
Nobody said it was. Who said it was?
You have to take steps to make that happen.
Who said that didn't? Who said you don't have to take steps? Again, you're acting as if Tate is saying that it is easy. He is just giving you the prescription. Get a six pack. He didn't say it's easy, it's hard. Here's not how to do it. Here's how to. He just said get a six pack. The rest is up to you. That's the point. The point is to put it in your hands. I'll bring it back to dog training. Again, as you don't know, I'm a professional private dog trainer. When teaching a dog to walk on a leash, what you don't want to do is take the responsibility out of that dog's hands by dragging them around and pulling them into the position that you want. Because then you're teaching them that, oh, okay, walking is just, we go outside and, oh, I smell this, I smell that, and I'm running, I'm pulling, and all that. No, you have to put the responsibility of having that leash not be taught, having no tension on the leash, having no pulling. You have to put that responsibility on the dog. Otherwise, they don't know that that's a thing. You have to tell you have to it's a little bit more complicated than that, but long story short is that you have to put the responsibility on them, and so you give them the option that they can either walk nicely or get the consequence, and then they choose. Similarly, if you just think about what it actually takes to get a six pack from being a fat fuck. Write out that entire plan and then send that to that same kid and tell me that would be more helpful than just saying, you got to get a six pack. I think if we're talking about anything about giving up and just, if you send him a whole, here's my workout plan, I would just be like, oh, fuck, I can't do that. You're a world famous kickboxer. I'm a fat fuck. I can't do that.
So you're just going to tell him to go do it without a plan, without helping him out, without any guidance?
Yes, because then they have to figure it out. And now they're figuring out, okay, so how do you build muscle? You start there. You learn it on your own. You put the responsibility on them. This is the entire problem with my generation, is that your generation wants to do everything for us.
But you're taking the person who got themselves in this position physically and mentally and expecting them to just change it somehow magically because you tell them to change it.
That's a straw man. Who said magically?
How are they going to just turn something that they've obviously spent, I'm assuming, I could be wrong, their whole life being one way, and they're super depressed about it. They've got themselves in this hole, and you just say, "Oh, just get out of the hole."
Because he's giving a direct instruction. A direct instruction, and that's specifically why I would say you should say get a six pack instead of get in shape, because getting in shape is a more nebulous goal. Having a six pack is a very specific thing that you can work towards. Guys, in the chat, I need where are we at? Am I wrong? Is he? We're kind of just going back and forth. So I need y'all help. Who agrees? Who disagrees? Give me some thoughts. What are we doing here? But Mr. Jeffrey Adonis, are you? Do you know where I'm coming from? Do you agree?
No, I understand what you're coming. I just don't think it's the right way to go about it. I don't think I think it's going to be less successful than laying out a plan.
What? So
laying out goals that can be accomplished.
But that comes back to
you have one goal that needs to be accomplished of getting the six pack instead of, and that could be a 2-year thing for that guy, right?
That's
maybe
the point,
give them
again. That's the point. Yeah. So let's put it this way. Let's flip it around.
Stop eating 3 times a day.
But that's
eating McDonald's.
You don't see that's such a much bigger, an easier thing to fail. That's such a much easy. All you have to do is mess up once, and you're fucked. That's a way harder goal. That has way less room for error. But let's flip it. So let's say this kid emails you. Let's say it's a 22-year-old kid. Says exactly that. You're probably not going to read this. I just wanted to let you know I'm going to end myself. If you got anything to say, go.
I don't know. I mean, that's all the information. I'm not going to be like,
yeah,
go get a six-pack. What if the dude's like, I already got a six-pack. I've been on steroids.
Okay,
it's made me crazy, and I want to end myself.
Wait.
You don't know. You have no idea.
Wait. So you are going to tell him, to get a six-pack.
No, I would say something along the lines of, hey, one of the best way to get out of depression and being out of shape is diet and exercise. So you focus on your diet, focus on some exercise. If you can't do a big workout, just start taking walks and then start running, then start doing weights. But I'm not gonna be like,
I don't know. I tried.
You'd be like, I'm already an Olympic athlete. I've just been taking so many steroids. I want to kill myself. And I'll be like, all right, well, don't hurt anybody else.
And we're gonna try not to use that terminology here. But
No,
we have somebody who's come to you.
We don't have enough information to say.
That's the point. That's the point. That is the point.
It's not enough information
getting
to say,
a six-pack. Getting a six-pack is good advice for any man in any situation. Getting a six-pack is good advice for any man in any situation. If you already have a six-pack, then the conversation goes further. But the very point is that if you have any issues in your life and also not have a six-pack, then you have your first step. Regardless of how hard it is to discipline yourself. I know that myself. I'm going through a process right now trying to instill discipline by just doing 10 push-ups a day. I get that. The point is, that's not an excuse. Just because it's hard doesn't mean that it's an excuse.
Okay, this guy just emailed you. He said, my wife said she's going to leave me. I don't spend enough time at home. And I don't spend enough time doing stuff with her. Go.
Why don't you spend enough time with her?
You're supposed to say, go get a six-pack.
Trey said, I figured out I needed help on how to save money. I set a goal of saving $5,000, which,
nice.
For those of you who may not think that a lot of money, those of us who don't have a lot of money, $5,000 is, in fact, a lot of money. So I set a goal of saving $5,000, and that sent me into looking up how to save money and learning different plans and tips, and I've grown and saved.
Nice.
So in this case, Trey's six-pack is $5,000.
Yeah, but if he talked to Tate would have said, why don't you just save up $10 million like me?
That's not what he would have said.
What I'm saying, he is putting...
Azatal says, no excuses, Jeffrey. No excuses to do anything in life. You learn from experience. Fail and try again. And a thorough process of failure and winning a plan is created. Experience is necessary, and you get that experience by failing. I know Jeffrey knows that. The problem is you're coming from a perspective of somebody who's already won the game that we're talking about. You're already somebody who's happy with yourself, who has your life, I don't know you that well, but you have your life set to where you're not, emailing Andrew Tate to ask him how to fix your life. And you're just so far removed. You're so far removed from that 16-year-old kid who lives in 2022. Remember, They didn't go through a Jeffrey Adonis phase. They're just there. They've never had anybody. And then we, of course, we're talking about, a generation with the most single parent households. They never had any of this told to them. And so the same way, were you a fan of Kevin Samuels?
Who, me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is.
Wow.
Is it a guy on the internet?
Yeah. So,
kids in your internet, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, man. I mean,
dude, I'm out here working on my six pack. I don't get time to be on the internet all day.
Well, then, you probably aren't.
You know what? I bet you have a six pack.
I mean, I do, but
I know you do. I know you do, dude. And you don't
I do,
work
but
out.
only because I'm too skinny. I just don't have any body fat. I'm just really, really
God just
tiny
gifted you with that six pack.
Yeah, but it's. I've talked about this before. I really wish that it would the notion of working out and getting fit and getting in shape would not always be from the perspective of being a fat fuck, because I just have never. It's the messaging has just never resonated with me, and I've always been able to kind of slip past the notion that I really know I should be working out and having some sort of just workout routine. I've been able to avoid it just because, I'm not fat, so whatever. But it is tough. But I do, so let's assume. Let's give Andrew Tate the benefit of the doubt with the specific situation where he emailed the kid. Where do you fall on the rest of the just the whole thing about him being banned and his response to it? Do you think it's something? I mean, does it sound to you like he's just doing PR, or does it sound more like this is the real story and we can see that that big tech is taking over and all that stuff? Which do you think it's closer to?
I think it's I think he's banned. I think he's been banned. I think he's trying to spin it in a positive thing. The one thing I put the he said, I've been banned in an unprecedented way or something along those lines, or attacked or whatever. I'm like, okay, no. I mean, Donald Trump had everybody banning him, and he had, the FBI after him. He had this fake Russia stuff, and they, for 3 years they whenever. Well, he's acting like how he's being persecuted by big tech, and he didn't get half of it. And how long has he been banned? Has it been 6 months, 2 months,
a couple months?
How long? A couple months. Okay, it's a couple months that he's been out of it, and he acts like a martyr. I think somebody else used that word earlier.
I did.
About and it's bad. He's not the first. It's not unprecedented. It's not unprecedented for him. It doesn't make it right, but
that's not what he said, though. He was saying it was unprecedented because he was already shadow banned.
Okay,
that's all he was saying.
You don't think other people have been shadow banned for years?
You brought up Trump. Trump was not shadow banned. No. And Trump did break the terms of service by talking about the election, which I think is a stupid rule.
Well, wait a minute. I'd love to know when election talk was put into terms of service. Was it while he was talking about that, or was it actually?
I agree with you. You're probably right about that. But the fact is, they can put it in whenever they want. And so, talking about actually breaking the terms of service, no matter how stupid they are, is different.
Okay, so did
banned
Andrew Tate
did he not
break terms of service?
No, that is the whole. Were you listening?
No, dude. I just got here. What are you talking about?
Don't make me pull up your first comment.
Go ahead, pull it up.
All
My
right,
name's
let's
Jeffrey
see.
Adonis. Good luck with that.
9:55. It is now 11:22.
Wait a minute, that says indie film. That says indie film.
Yeah, who the fuck
I
is
don't
that?
know who that is.
Fuck that dude.
I'm Jeffrey Adonis.
Trey says, I'm an in shape fat guy since high school. I've always been around 220, 235, but I got all the way to 291, and my little girl called me too fat for the slide, and that was my slap in the face. And I'm 245 now. Sometimes you need a punch in the chest to get the message.
Yeah.
And
do you have a six pack?
Me or Trey?
Why doesn't he have a six pack?
Maybe he's working on it. See, it's really weird to me that you're taking such a defensive position on the notion of getting a six pack. As if it's like, whoa! Don't tell guys to get six. You're telling guys to get a six pack? What's going on? This guy over here is telling people to get six packs.
Well, no, I will say there's.
What's wrong with a six pack?
That a six pack can be unhealthy.
More unhealthy
if you get
than
down
a
to
fucking gut.
Super low body fat, if you're dieting,
you just congratulated me on that very type of six pack.
No, I just said you. I said you had it.
You literally just said I was
a gift from
blessed.
God. Yeah, gift from God, but you don't believe it. Blessed by who?
I don't know. I mean,
you need to work on your ass. I'm guessing you have a flat ass. You need to get an ass you can bounce a quarter off of.
Why the fuck do you know that? You fucking creepy shit.
I can just tell, man. I've been coaching kids in soccer for 20 years. I know what they look like. You don't have a soccer ass.
I'm just gonna move past that. I'm gonna move
to get a soccer
past
ass,
that.
man.
I don't want to know about you and looking at children's asses. I am not interested in that at all. Whatever you do in the privacy of your own home is on you.
That's why they called me Jeffrey Adonis.
Jesus fucking Christ. So Trey said he's coming up.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. He said he's almost home. So we're waiting on you. So let's we'll dive back in.
Trey, don't text and drive, dude.
How do you know he's not Ubering? What the assumptions? You know what happens when you assume?
No.
You make an ass.
Who is
you and me?
Who is the guy? Kenneth Jenkins? Who did you ask me if I knew? And I said never heard of him.
Kevin Samuels.
Kevin Samuels. Who's that?
He's the Godfather. He was a guy who started off doing a call-in show for men, talking about men. See? Exactly. He started talking about men and how men can improve themselves and what men should do. And eventually he started talking to women and about what they should do in terms of finding marriage. And he was just the best. And a lot of women hated him because he was very straightforward and did not hold his tongue. But a lot of women needed to hear the message in that way, as Trey was saying. They needed that punch in the chest. They needed that I don't want to say, I was going to say something else. I was going to say smack and then I was going to say in the face, but I don't even want that clip together. So, but yeah, exactly. So RIP for sure. Absolutely. Always to the late great Kevin Samuels. So while we wait for Trey, let's dive back in and see if we can get a Jeffrey Adonis here a little more triggered.
Hey.
He's jealous of who I am and my lifestyle, so he's found something he can use to weaponize. If he can't make up that bullshit and attack me, how else can he attack me? Can't call me broke, can't call me dumb, can't call me stupid. Like, what can he call me?
So if you have something to say, just start talking and I'll pause.
Well, he's better than me at everything, but if I take this and pretend to give a shit, he doesn't give a fuck. I build orphanages in Romania. I have a charity that rescues stray dogs. I take time out of my life replying to emails saving people from suicide. What the fuck does this guy do for anybody? Nothing. But he's a good person because he gives a shit? No. He's using it as a vehicle to attack somebody who he knows is his superior and every single human metric that can be measured.
It's 11:26
by modern science, and he dislikes me for it. All of this is just weaponized care. Oh, we care so much about, they don't care about fucking anything. They don't care about people. They just dislike me. And that's a very different thing. It's all been false from the beginning. I've seen through it all from the absolute beginning. It's a matrix attack. And like I said, I told you how it happens. YouTube strike, Meta, YouTube, media, Uber, Gmail, Discord, Skype, Twitch, boom, 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 boom. It's all a fucking coordinated hit piece. It's bullshit.
You know, it's crazy. I'm listening to you.
Wait a minute. Did he get banned from Uber?
Yes, sir. He got banned from all of those things. So
from Uber.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the first ban was from Facebook and Instagram. And then he was banned from YouTube. And so, as you said, media, that, they first will give you the initial ban and then put a bunch of bad press and then ban you from the rest so that you can't respond to it. And so, yeah, he was saying he can't use the banks. He can't use Airbnb. He can't use Uber. He can't use Stripe, the payment processing system. I'm sure he can't use PayPal. All of these things. And so that's what, again, when you're like, oh, he's been banned for 2 months, like take away every app on your phone for 2 months and see how well you do. And
I think I do pretty well.
Would you though?
Right. My mental health would probably increase.
So you don't need your bank. You don't need your bank.
My bank?
Your bank.
I mean, I have a physical bank I can go to.
No, not.
So if I get rid of the bank app, I'm okay. I can go to the physical bank.
No, dude. That's what I'm telling you.
You didn't say that, man. Quit changing the rules midstream, man.
Okay, your lack of understanding is not my responsibility. When I say that he can't use the banks, I mean he can't use the banks, not just the apps. The apps is just how most of us use our banking. He is not allowed to use the banks. If he went in with his card, they would shred it.
So
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Do we know, like,
what he said? No.
What?
Do we know what he said? No.
No. Do we know if they just went ahead and sent him a cashier's check for whatever was in his accounts, or they just seized it?
I doubt they seized it. I'm sure it's just frozen.
So they
seized his fucking
freezing it is essentially seizing it. I mean,
well, seizing it means they take it, and freezing it means you just can't use it. So if they freeze
either way,
your
you
assets,
can't use it.
They're still yours. You just can't use them. So if you have $1,000 in the bank and they freeze your account, you still have $1,000 in the bank. You just can't take it out. If they seize your bank account, then you no longer have that $1,000.
Yeah.
So whatever happens next, you may, if your bank account is frozen, then theoretically it can be unfrozen. If the money is seized, it's gone. I'm sure he would have said something if they seized his assets. But no, he can't use any of the social media. And again, you have to understand that at this, he's already a multimillionaire, but at this stage in his life, the way that he makes his living is by making content. And so, you can't use you can't use social media. Like, okay, for you, that's not a big deal because you have a job, you have a life, you have a stream of income, and you don't have a strong connection to being online.
Yeah, that's what you asked me.
I know, but I'm trying to explain why.
I understand for him.
All right.
But also there are all alternatives. Like can he get off? Can he get on Rumble? Can he use?
Yes.
What's the payment system that? Oh, somebody
Stripe.
like an ex-Trump, some person put together. Can he get on Truth Social? Can he get on Gab? I'm guessing he can get on those things, or is on those things.
Right.
What was that payment processor? Instead of PayPal, it's got a
Stripe
stupid name.
Stripe is the main one, but he's banned from that. It's I know what you're talking about. The
Parallel.
Yeah.
So he could use that.
Right, but so maybe it's something that you don't understand about content and the attention economy is that yes, he can get on Rumble and he is somebody who can get 500,000 subscribers on Rumble, but not everybody can. I can't. So sure, Andrew Tate's going to be fine. But what happens when I say something that YouTube doesn't like?
Well, by
What
the
happens
time you
when
do
they
that,
shut down
you'll
my
have a
account?
million
They shut down
subscribers.
my bank account. They don't let me use Uber. They don't let me go down the list. I'm not allowed to. I'm on a no-fly list. All this type of shit. What happens to me?
Yeah, it's a problem, dude. I mean,
So what?
was it ESG, ESB, whatever they're trying to
Yeah.
do, the social? Yeah, that's a big problem, and that's going to affect everybody, not just YouTube people. It's going to affect people that post something on Facebook.
So
That it's like, here's what needs to happen: is
so
states
if you
like
agree,
Florida
then
are
what
going to
is
have
this
to come
problem?
up.
Well, he's only been banned for a couple months, and he can use these alternatives.
No, but I'm
and
talking about the way he was talking about it.
Okay, but this
About
is my This is my point: is that it's not just about him. It's about the This is why I was using the word martyr. It's because he is a representative of those of us who eventually will be on the chopping block for all of these companies. And just like how Johnny Depp was, in that position in the court of in a court of law, and it was shown that wow, a man can actually get somewhat fair, a fair shake in an American court of law. The same thing is happening here. Even though Johnny Depp did, a man of means and money and status. What happens to the girl that I match with on Hinge? And I never watched any red pill content, and I get into this relationship, and we're together for 3 years, and she starts beating the shit out of me, and I start leaving the room because she starts hitting me, and then I get upset because I don't know how to deal with it, and then I kind of throw something at her, and then I'm in that same, and then she writes an op-ed that gets into the Washington Post about how I abused the fuck out of her when that didn't happen. What do I do? It's not about Johnny Depp. It's not about Andrew Tate.
man,
It's
you've
about
lost
justice.
me. Yeah,
It's about justice. This is unjust. He should not have been banned. It doesn't matter if you like what he said or not.
I agree with you. I don't think that. I think free speech, but
But you're okay with him just, whatever. It's Andrew Tate. Who
with
cares?
what?
That's it. I mean,
I know who Andrew
Am I
Tate
wrong?
was until 2 days ago,
That's not the
or
point.
whatever.
You know who he is
but
now, and you don't seem
Yeah.
to be. You don't seem to care.
no. I'm saying
Or rather, you
that
seem
him
to
acting
be,
like
you seem
this
to
is
be
the first
quizzical
person.
as to
He
why
acts
I
like
care.
I'm acting like it's the first. He acts like it's the first. He's the first person that's ever happened to. This is a problem bigger than him.
That's exactly.
This is a huge problem. It happened to the freaking president of the United States.
Okay, but nobody's fucking talking about that anymore, are they? So
Well,
while
I
that's
am.
the same fucking issue, there's only one person in the headlines talking about that same issue that has to deal with Trump. So if you care that Trump was unjustly banned from all these things, then the only option now is to glob onto the only thing that people are paying attention to, because most people don't even understand that this is an issue. Most people, because they are not in the crosshairs of the establishment, they just say normal normie shit or leftist shit. They think that, of course, if you're banned, you must have done something wrong. If you're raided by the FBI, you must have done something wrong, right? That's what normal people
Alex
think.
Jones
So when
has
we
been
see,
banned.
when we
The
see
pillow guy has been banned.
Right. So when we see things like that happen to people, whether or not you like Trump, whether or not you like the Alex Jones, whether or not you like the My Pillow guy, it's the fucking principle. And so again, I'm just confused, because it seems like you are saying that this is not that big of a deal. And I couldn't disagree more.
No, I think we were talking about six packs, and all of a sudden we got into the banning. And I mean, I'm against it, and I don't know what else you can do besides individual states need to stand up and say, hey, in Florida, ESB is not a thing, and any company that tries to enforce it is gone. In Florida, you want to use you want to be a internet provider here, you want to be an Uber here, You can't deny people because of political beliefs. You cannot deny people because of free speech. But it's not going to happen on the federal level. The states are going to have to do it individually because the federal level is a lost cause right now.
I feel like that's the next conversation. You're like, we're not even there yet. We're talking about the issue, and like, yes, I agree with you, but we're trying to take a look at this particular situation so that when you were going down the list and saying that all these other people have been banned and all, if it keeps happening, then whatever it is that we're saying and doing to try to stop it is not working. So we need to take the individual cases, pick them apart, and see what's going on, and determine, okay, this is what's right, this is what's wrong, this is what we should do, this is what we shouldn't do, and so on and so forth. And so, again, that's why I'm confused that it's not just me. It sounds like you have a bone to pick with Tate himself. Alex says the banning from all social media alone scares me, but banks, other apps like Uber, Airbnb as well, that throws me off, and it's insane. Yeah, absolutely.
Do we not remember what happened in Canada with the trucker protest? People that donated money to the truckers in the trucker protest had their bank accounts frozen by the Canadian government.
Yep. We got Trey. What's up, Trey?
Indy. Jesus. How we doing today, gentlemen?
How we doing?
Fine.
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing much. Trying to eat dinner and listen to you young fellers.
Yeah. So what do you think about it?
Real quick, Indy, how old are you?
Oh man, I'm 53 or 52.
You know what?
Sorry, I was walking in my house I was trying to be quiet. I was walking in. I'm on the deck. I was walking in to get a refill. So you caught me mid refill. 53, I believe. Born in 68.
This conversation makes so much more sense.
Listen, you young whippersnapper.
No, because you
get out my old man voice.
You're 2 years younger than my mom, so this conversation makes so much more sense now.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because it's more of a ouch. It's more of one of those things of a parent's safety net. Like our parents thought more of safety nets and longevity versus how I think our generation thinks of those things. So like my mom, she always pushed like the military or like truck driving because she was like, those are the most stable jobs ever. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do those. Like I know that's not what I want to do. And that's how like Indy keeps coming off to me where it's like, this is what it should be. Like when we were talking about the 6-pack thing, like Indy's argument was more so coming off like, this is the safest way to do it. Don't necessarily shoot for that. And to a degree, I think that's kind of just their generation. Because my mom kind of says the same thing in just other aspects. But it's pretty much the same exact message.
Indy? Response?
Well, I will say that you're working on your 5,000 or you already got your 5,000. Do you currently own a home?
No.
That should be your goal, man. That's the best way to move up. Yeah. And if you would have listened to your mom and become a truck driver in the Army, man, you'd be doing so good.
So I actually want to go to the Marines and be a sniper. My favorite movie
that's
all time is Jarhead.
All right. Hold on. We're getting a little off the rails here. We're getting a little off the rails.
I mean, it's a little hard to get a job out of. Oh, okay.
So
the conversation is around Andrew Tate getting banned, why he got banned, should he have been banned? I think we all agree he should not have been banned. But
absolutely
the larger implications of people getting banned, and how that is manifesting in the sense that Andrew Tate is now the top guy who is most recently banned. Not about specifically necessarily, unless you have a point to draw to the larger point. Not specifically about what Andrew Tate says, not about what he looks like, whether his brother, none of that stuff. We're talking about the freedom of speech as a not a legal concept, but a concept that we hold dear as freedom-loving individuals. So, Indy's kind of saying that when it comes to the specifics of what Andrew Tate did, that he's talking about, that he doesn't agree. But I don't know. Somebody pick it up.
So
So okay, Indy, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't know what the individual things that he did to get banned, what those were.
Neither do we. Neither does he.
Okay, yeah, but here's the problem: the country is supposedly, guided by the Constitution. That's the rule of law. These individual companies are have individuals in places of power. The Constitution's not a person. It doesn't have the whims of a person. It is a solid thing. Freedom of speech, First Amendment. These are just people who, I don't like that person, I'm going to ban them. How do you stop that on company by company? And they're all lemmings. They all follow each other. So when one does it, boom. Okay, well, Twitter banned them. I'm going to ban them. Facebook's going to ban them. I'm going to ban them. Boom, 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 boom. Just like he was saying. So how do you solve that? Well, I think the only way to solve it would be through, a government saying, if you're going to operate within our borders, then you have to follow these rules.
But here's where I draw a little bit of issue. I think that should be completely separate from banks. Like, unless you can truly tie criminal ties to his money or something, then I could possibly understand. But just from YouTube and other places, banning him, like, at the end of the day, if a company wants to ban him, as far as like Twitter, YouTube, okay, we can argue that. That's terms of services. That's up to them. But when it comes to bank entities, Uber and stuff, like, that's out of pocket. Like, you're drawing to line to the point where you're cutting that man's actual life off. If you freeze that man's money, you're actually cutting his life off. So if you can't put that money to actual criminal activities, the bank should have no even reason to even want to jump in this mess at all.
Right, and that's why that comes down to, like, what are the laws around around freezing bank accounts in general, and it makes sense that there would be either a misappropriation of the law or a just a crack in the system that these are we're in a capitalistic society. If you can't just deny service to somebody for I mean, you definitely it's tricky because you definitely can deny service to anybody as a private entity, but you can't do it for particular reasons. Like, you can't say you can say I'm not going to serve you. End of story. Even if in your head you're thinking I'm not going to serve you because you were black. But you can't say I'm not going to serve you because you're black.
I just seen a story that a lady got fired from a Walgreens because she was refusing to serve women abortion Plan B pills. Like, she wasn't serving it to her because of her religious beliefs. So they fired her. I think that's a lot different than a bank being like, yo, you're not going to get your direct deposit paycheck because you chose not to give some women a Plan B pill because you're a Christian. I think those are two totally separate things.
Absolutely. And, I mean, It's just it's tough. It's tough. So I mean, I don't know. Obviously there's a lot more to this interview. But I want to make sure that we're at least all on the same page as we move forward with this. You know, we're not even halfway through. So and we've been going for a while. I'm gonna cut off. I'm not even. I think I'm gonna just cut out the Sneeko shit because if you missed it, it was boring as fuck.
I low-key left the stream.
Thanks,
Sneeko,
pal.
You know what though? You know
could have just left the tab open, but whatever. But I'm gonna clip that out, and we're gonna make and then Buzzstyle leaves. So I'm gonna I'm gonna make it I'm gonna cut that part out, and then we'll come back for part 2, and then we'll bang out that whole thing.
But you know the interesting part about Sneeko, and I'm sorry because I know you're probably trying to end the stream. Yeah. It's almost like the perfect role into Andrew Tate because I think that's what made Sneeko take. Hear me out. You know how he called? What did he call? What did he call Logan? A plant, right?
A what?
Didn't he call Logan a plant in that interview? Like an industry plant.
Yeah, he just called him a bot. That he gets he does what he has to do. Like he'll listen to whatever message. But yeah.
So hear me out. Could they not have seen this coming and eventually started to put Sneeko as the other side? Because to me, the turn Sneeko made was very wild. Like I kind of know Sneeko just a little bit. So from the stuff I seen from when I first seen Outlet Preach talk about him and went back and looked to like the turn of when Andrew Tate was starting to get to the side where they were trying to get him out of here.
Are you saying like they purposely made Sneeko like the Andrew Tate Jr. so that they could get rid of Tate and have something else there? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I would not be surprised. I think I would not be surprised, but I don't think so. I think there is a genuine desire for content that these guys are putting out. And so if they are entertaining and they are giving they're talking about the things that young men care about, when you ban Andrew Tate, then that attention is going to go somewhere else. Well, and so maybe there's some extent of that, but I would think that it's more organic than anything else.
So I would say both, and here's why I say both. I think Sneeko seen like okay, because I think Sneeko has the right message, and I think he was actually purveying it the right way at first. Like, I think he actually had a very good way of delivering the information and the message he was trying to deliver at the very beginning.
At first, meaning like before he blew up live streaming?
Okay, I think I caught Sneeko in the middle. Like, not his early YouTube days, but like his middle before he became this Sneeko. I caught him like right there.
So you're talking before the live stream when he was just doing his main channel, like the video essay type stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So then he seemed way more level-headed. He was more... I think the fact that he was more interactional with people, I think it made his point way more better. And I think it showed him as a more level-headed person. And then once I think like he started to see like Andrew Tate get there, I think he tried that one time, seen it worked, and started doing it more and more. Reached out to Andrew, and Andrew started kind of giving him the game. And, at that point, I'm going to use it. So now that I see like, oh, they're actually trying to get you the fuck out of here. I mean, yeah, well, you allow fuck. So now he's seeing like, oh, they're trying to get you the fuck out of here. Maybe if I turn up more and start kind of getting more towards the Andrew Tate Jr.-ish type of, mantra bravado, by the time they get him out of here, I'm pretty established. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I would not be surprised at all. I'm blown away at how boring that fucking video
that was
like,
boring.
Like I don't know what he was trying to accomplish with that. Like usually there's a message, but it was literally just like, look at me, this is my neighborhood, this is my car, this is my new apartment, this is my girl, this is a party.
Doesn't it sound a lot like a Bugatti? Doesn't it
The
sound like
Bugatti.
he got a Bugatti?
All right, so let's go to last thoughts. Indy, what do you got for us, pal?
Well, I think I heard that Andrew Tate's on Rumble, and IndianJesus, I think you should be on Rumble.
Oh, I
and
am.
I hope everybody will find you on Rumble. And remember, I'll be your Huckleberry.
That sounds wild.
Fair enough. Thank you for hanging out. Pleasure as always. And I'll try you. Go ahead.
Love, peace, blessings to everybody. I think you're going to make a lot of young men better. At least get them 2-packs, if not 6. Let's at least get a 1-pack. You know what I'm saying? Let's get the 1-packs popping. But no, I think these type of conversations are meant to be. The fact that we have a 32-year-old, a 30-year-old, and a 53-year-old man on live streams to have real life discussions, I think is better than a Bugatti. So peace, love, and blessings, and everybody have a nice night and nice sleep.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for hanging out. As always, always appreciate you, even though you dipped out on me. That's all right. I probably would have done the same. That's what I want from you guys. If we're watching something, you're like, yo, this is fucking boring. Be like, yo, this is fucking boring. Let's watch something else. If you notice, if you've been here, then you wouldn't have noticed that I changed the title, I changed the thumbnail, I changed everything while we were here because that was boring. That documentary was boring. And so I want to have fun with you guys. It's a party. So we moved over to something else. I was planning on doing something with this podcast, but thankfully I'm a professional, got it locked down. So I really am just going to completely clip out the whole part with Sneeko. And then when we return on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to dive right back into this podcast. We're at an hour and 30 in, and that's where we're going to start. So don't be late. Otherwise, you're going to miss it. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. As always, it is such a pleasure to be here with you guys. It is always great for you. And especially those of you who come up on the panel, that means a lot to me. And thank you, Positile. Love you guys. And I hope you enjoyed the first part of this look at Andrew Tate and Patrick Bet Davis. Jesus Christ. Patrick Bet David. There we go. And Andrew Tate, our boy Andrew Tate. So on Friday, when we come back, we will see the conclusion. Of course, the party never ends. We never stop raging. The party rages on. If you go into the description of this video, there's a link to the Discord server. Click that link, and you're partying with me 24/7. 24/7. The party goes on. You know what else is down there? Also, scrolling across the bottom of the screen, that support link. If you could help me out, CashApp, Venmo, PayPal, Bitcoin, any of those, that would be awesome. The channel's not yet monetized, and I'm broke as fuck, so help me out. But even if you don't want to do that stuff, you've already done enough just by being here. I appreciate that so much. And you know what else? It's completely free to like the video, to comment on the video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, to share it with your friends, to take this URL and put it on every social media that you have. I guarantee you have a friend who would like this show. Why are you holding out on him? Share the link, and we'll all have fun together. It's a fucking party. And I am your host, Lutch, a.k.a. TheIndianJesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Thank you so much for hanging out, guys. Until the next party, I am out of here. Later.